Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Beyond the Tape. Back for another 2-round mock draft, and today joined by a very special guest returning to the channel, the co-host of the PFF College Football Podcast and the co-host of the PFF NFL Podcast, and maybe the man with the best taste in music inside the sports media industry. I'll leave that up to debate. I welcome to the show Dalton Wasserman. Dalton, dude, one, it's great to see you. Love having you on the show. You and I, we were just talking about this beforehand. We are long-form communicators. We like to draw this out, and I was pumped to have you back on the show just because you have a great football mind. But last year we had you on for a mock that almost stretched out to 3 hours, so I'm hoping to get us a little bit more condensed down, but that's the thoughtful analysis you're bringing to the table today. So I appreciate you carving out some time, and hopefully, again, not taking 3 hours of your time today.
As always, we'll see where it goes, TJ. You know, we're just the type of people that like to get our point across, right? And certainly during draft season, everybody likes to do that. So we'll explain every last little thing we do, and if the timer runs over, though, we'll see where it goes. You know,
likes to get our point across. That, I think, is honestly probably the best assessment I've heard of either one of us. So awesome. All right, so Dalton and I talked beforehand. I'm going to take the evens, one, because we kind of know where this draft is starting, and that's going to be Fernando Mendoza being the number one overall pick. But also because, Dalton, you're a Jets fan, and now you get to take two swings to the bat here inside the first round. And then actually you get to also make the pick at 44 in the second round in today's video too. So I want to hear your thoughts. And, we probably should have talked about it beforehand, but we could do this however you want, predictive or what you would do. I'm open to it either way. To me personally, what I've been doing with guests is like the first 20 picks, maybe the first round, we're trying to do predictive. But I don't know. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this. It feels like in most drafts you get to pick 50. And then like the tree, it kind of just like all these boards going off in 1,000 different directions. Feels like this year that might happen to pick 20. Maybe it's by like pick 30, but it feels like you get to pick 20. It's kind of a crapshoot there. So I'll let you make your mind up here what you want to do, predictive versus what you think the actual Jets are going to do here at number 2.
Honestly, I think in this draft, it's only going to be predictive, maybe up to pick 7 or 8, maybe 9 with the Chiefs. I don't think beyond the top 10 there's not much predictive we can do at all. Because I think one thing when you go through, and there's something I wrote about last week, it was for all 32 teams, is look, they all have multiple needs, right? And if you think about just the different directions that most of them could go, there's different options, especially on the defensive side of the ball in this draft. So I think it really starts here with the Jets. I know Arvell Reese, everybody's kind of locking into this number 2 pick, but I do think it's fascinating to watch Reese, and I did one final watch on him this past week, and I think, look, I have Sonny Styles as LB1 and Reese as LB2, right? And then if you're talking about the Jets really looking into an edge player, yes, there's a ton of potential, but I don't have him right this minute as high as I do Reuben Bain or David Bailey. So I think the question is what do you have the time to develop Reese into one or the other? Now, I personally would take him in a hybrid role as a linebacker first who can sub down and play on the line of scrimmage for, let's say, 150, 200 snaps. The Eagles did that with Jahad Campbell this past year. But the talent, the athletic talent is obviously there. It's just a matter of needing to have a plan of development for him. So if we're doing it predictive, it's going to be Arvell Reese. It just feels like, what are we down to, minus like 300 odds or something that this is going to happen. But if you're just taking him to only play on the edge, I think you could consider somebody else like a Reuben Bain. I really do. I think they're going to take Reese. I would have to put some heavy thought into, if I was running the Jets, just the process and what we're going to do with Reese. For me, I would take him as a hybrid. I would start him at linebacker. I would probably trade Jamie and Sherwood and get out of the contract and have Reese learn next to Demario Davis, and then he can kind of be the joker in your defense. But I think I do want to throw out there that if you're going to use him as a full-time edge rusher like he declared himself at the Combine, there needs to be some real thought put into that because he's not all the way there yet, especially as a pass rusher.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think there's a lot of special athleticism, right? And I can't remember exactly what game it is, but he has this crazy bend that he puts on display. It might be the Northwestern game, but I might be just talking too far away from the tape. But you see a lot of the natural God-given ability there, but like the pass rush plan, the hand usage, I'm with you there. It's going to take some time. And I do almost wonder, this 3-4 move, as much as I'm like, nickel's the new base in the NFL, is that a way that can kind of facilitate, hey, 50% of your time here, 50% of your time there? So I'm with you. It's definitely awesome flashes when you do see it from Reese, but it's exactly that. It's flashes. So, and I kind of like your thoughts there about Sonny Styles. If not for the contract situation, I wonder if they would do that. But if you take Styles at 2, he's like immediately one of the top paid linebackers in the league. So I don't know if the Jets are fully there. And also, so I'll make Arvell Reese the pick here at 2. And you mentioned Demario Davis. I wonder if there's a world here, especially while you're cross-training Reese, maybe that pick at 44, like if Josiah Trotter or insert linebacker you love here is still there. I wonder if you could still double dip at that position with the long-term plan that Reese will play edge. And I just feel like in the immediate, Demario Davis, Arvell Reese, let's just say it's Josiah Trotter. Like that is so much more violence, tenacity, really run defense at the middle of that defense that just gets a huge boost. So I'd be curious your thoughts just on in general that. Do you think they could double dip Reese at 2 and then someone like that at 44, or you think Reese plus Davis, that's the tandem?
I mean, if they're doing that, I think it really is just that Reese is going to play off the edge, and they're going to develop him as an edge rusher. And then to me, I think you would really. It depends on the board at that point, right? Sure. I mean, there's some guys in that range. Trotter, like you mentioned, Jake Golday from Cincinnati could be an option, right? Or they could go even deeper into say if they don't have a third round pick, but even I think early in the fourth round, you could find some good linebacker talent. It's part of the fun of this linebacker class. That last year there were 4, maybe 5 guys that I like. This year there's probably something closer to 10 or 12. And you could find value later on, even if you're just keeping Jamie and Sherwood and building depth behind him.
Hey, you know what? I would love to see a world where it's Kyle Lewis. Yeah, could we? And again, you don't have a third round pick, and I'm kind of starting to lean. He might be like a late third round guy, but like 2 very different linebackers. But you just know the NFL is going to group them into the same bucket. I'd love to see those guys on the same roster. To be completely honest with you. Number 3 overall pick, Arizona. This is kind of where it feels like the draft starts because, to your point, I think there are different directions the Jets could go, but it feels like Reese is the direction that they are going to go. So I'm going to go with Francis Moinoa here. In a lot of ways, I think there's a good right tackle option available for this team at the top of the second round, whether it's Maxi Inacho or maybe it's Blake Miller making it to day 2. But I could just see a world where Mike LaFleur wants to come in. We're going to set a foundation. We have a great left tackle in the making in Paris Johnson Jr., now let's go get the right tackle option. And long-term, like if worst case scenario plays out by year 3 or 4, he's a kick-ass guard. Like we can still find a place for that. So I'm going to go with CeCe Moino. I don't love it. I think a trade back, kind of the Paris Johnson route here would be a little bit more ideal. But I don't know if this is the draft where anybody's trading to make the move up to 3. So I'm going to go with Francis Moino there. And then once we get to the second round, we kind of get to just get a clear look at the board. Best player available. Is it Ty Simpson? Is it a linebacker or something like that? So I'm going to go with CeCe Moino there at 3.
Yeah, I would agree. I think on your thought process there too with the Cardinals, if the ideal scenario would be if they could trade back, it just doesn't feel it's this is such a draft where it's like, what are you trading up for? And in this case, maybe it's somebody trading up for Jeremiah Love, but I don't know that anyone's necessarily going to do that. So I'm with you. Solidify the offensive line. You've got Johnson, you've got Moinoa as the 2 tackles, and I think you figure out the quarterback situation maybe at 34 or maybe next year. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. So what do you want to do with the Titans here at 4? This is it feels like the love spot now, but here's your thoughts.
This to me has consistently come down to 2 guys, actually. And for as much as actually Ruben Bain is my edge 1, I think Robert Saleh, if he's going off the edge, would prefer David Bailey. So to me, this is between Jeremiah Love and David Bailey. Do you jumpstart this offense and try to help Cam Ward further? Or does, for as many guys as Saleh's brought in so far on defense, he doesn't have that one true just speed rusher like David Bailey, who just speeds up quarterbacks, right? So that's been the debate for me. I think as highly sought after as it seems like Love is, I'm going to go Jeremiah Love here because you still need to have that horse in your offense, right? Brian Daboll's done this before with Saquon Barkley and the Giants. When you have that horse that can hit a home run on any given snap, I mean, he strikes fear into defenses, and then you take that pressure off of Cam Ward, right? I like Tony Pollard. He's a grinder. He grinds out tough yards after contact, but this Titans team does not have enough home run hitters. Love gives you that immediately. So again, to me, I'm on the fence between Love and Bailey for the fit because I do like Bailey's fit in that defense, but Love is just so talented, it's hard to pass him up.
And I don't want to get too far down the mock and just like, all right, go ahead and pre-script picks here. But like a lot of my mocks, I'm having a hard time finding Cassius Howell at home in the first round. So I wonder if they could look at that as like, hey, there's some second round options that we could target if we did like Jeremiah Love. And then the other thought I wanted to share here, like you see Love in his role as a pass catcher expand last year at Notre Dame. I think if there was a place to make a justification for drafting a running back in the top 5, that was the expansion of his game you needed to see to be able to do that because you just took a quarterback at 1 overall. And hey, wouldn't it be nice if we had that home run threat next to him, but also a guy who makes it real easy in the pass game? And I know Tajay Spears, Tony Pollard, those guys can catch the ball, but the pass catching ability plus home run threat of Love, I think that's just, you can see where the argument's being made in the room. We're like, we want Love and Ward in the same backfield. Then the Giants, man, this. So you know what? I think this kind of has to be Sonny Styles. I really since like January, I've just kind of been firm in the stance of I think Sonny Styles is the best non-quarterback in this class. And kind of like what we talked about with the Cardinals, who's trading up in a class where the best players in this class are a running back, a couple linebackers, and a safety. You know, like at the end of the day, you might have some different orders there. Maybe you love Ruben Bain and he's your top guy, but when you look at the top 5 to 6 players in this class, a couple linebackers, safety, and a running back. So like I don't know who's looking to give up capital to go draft a lower position value. But here at 5, like Tremaine Edmonds, it's kind of shades of the Patrick Queen contract the Steelers gave a couple years ago. The contracts aren't that, lucrative. You could move on from him after a year. Or if, Tremaine Edmonds makes this work, him plus Sonny Styles to have 2 alien athletes in the middle of that defense, I don't really see that as a bad thing. Is there anything glaring I'm missing here, Dalton, or do you think Sonny Styles, I think that's the route we should go here?
No, I think with Jeremiah Love off the board, who is the other guy I think they would consider for the sake of getting that home run threat in their offense. If Love's off the board, I think the pick is Styles. John Harbaugh values linebackers. He saw even as recently in Baltimore as a couple of years ago, Roquan and Patrick Queen, the duo they created in that defense, so valuable. And it's just that was an organization under Harbaugh that always valued that spot, right? Go back to Ray Lewis and C.J. Mosley and Roquan Smith and just all the guys that they had. And then I think as far as the Giants go, with Edmonds and Styles as the starters, and then you push Micah McFadden kind of into that base defense, third linebacker kind of role where you don't want to expose him in coverage. I think it makes their defense a lot better, and their run defense was atrocious last year. Styles will make that a lot better. He's just so sound back there.
And then you talk about Darius Alexander going to year 2, coaching, schematic adjustments to get Dexter Lawrence back on track. Then you have Styles, who didn't miss a tackle to the college football playoff game. I mean, all of a sudden, it's like a couple moves in that run defense, to your point. Whole new world there in New York, which that's kind of what they've been looking for the last 3 years. So I'll give it to you, the Browns here. I have a couple of ideas where, I don't know. I'd be curious your thoughts on this, but we might also be able to get away with it with the Commanders of the next pick. But where do you start with the Browns? And then before you make the pick, let me just throw an idea your way. But what do you think?
So the 2 obvious huge needs, even with some of the moves they've made in free agency, right? Offensive line, they need a left tackle and they need 1, if not 2 more interior guys, right? 2 is wide receiver, where they might have the worst wide receiving core in the league right now, right? You've got Jerry Jeudy, maybe you've got Isaiah Bond. Now, the way that this board falls, and I know the hot name lately has been Monroe Freeling. I don't feel good enough about Freeling to take him at 6. I just personally, I don't. And the problem is that there's such a shortage of tried and true, proven left tackle prospects that, yeah, you're gambling a little bit at, if you're waiting until 24 and maybe you have to maneuver or figure it out as you go. But I think I'm willing to take that gamble, honestly. I think there's a couple other guys later on that I don't mind. Freeling at this point, I don't know if he gets to 24. Maybe it's Caden Proctor. Maybe it's Caleb Lomu, right? Maybe it's Maxi Onachur, and you feel really good about his athleticism, and he could play on the left side. I think he could do that, right? To me, I think there is a separator between the top 3 receivers in this class, between Tate and Lemon and Jordan Tyson, and then a little bit of a dip to the rest. I like Omar Cooper a lot. I know he's getting top 20 hype. I don't know that I would go necessarily that high with him, but I would go receiver first and see what tackle options fall to me. And it's very close because all 3 of those top 3 guys are very different players. I have Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver 1, but I think Carnell Tate's going to be the first one off the board. I'm going to go Carnell Tate here.
Okay, Carnell Tate. Well, but before we do that, I do have an idea. And again, we could do it with the Commanders at 7. Actually, let's just do that. We'll do the Commanders at 7. Real quick, the idea I was going to float you, and I'm with you. I have Lemon at wide receiver 1. I just look at that top 3 and like which one of these 3 guys do I want on my football team first and foremost. I'm kind of with you on leaning Lemon there. But I had a mock last week with Ray where we had the Rams trade with the Browns. Browns move back to 13. That's where they take Freeling, probably a little bit better of like the risk appetite where you'd like to take a guy like that. The Rams give up pick 61. They put all their chips in the center of the table and they go get the Devontae Adams replacement of Carnell Tate. But that being said, to require it and to make that trade happen, it would be the Browns saying, I don't want Carnell Tate. And I don't know if they really want to do that considering how close they are. So that being said, I am going to do that trade here at 13. And it's a little bit of a different kind of philosophy here, but it's still along the same lines. Rams put their chips all into the center of the table. Instead of a receiver, it's 13-61. The Commanders get 7 or give up pick 7. They get a second round pick they don't currently have. It might be a slight overpay for the Rams, but frankly, I think they'd be willing to do it. And then I'm going to give them Caleb Downs. And I know they brought back Cam Curl, and they still have Cam Kinchins, who I liked a good bit coming to Miami. Kind of had him as a top 100 player. But I just think this team is looking to go all in. They're looking to do and get as many impact players as they possibly can. I think they looked at their secondary last year as clearing away their Achilles heel. So McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Caleb Downs on top of bringing back your two safeties. I don't know. To me, it feels like a win now move. And then again, for the Commanders, you get a second round pick you don't currently have. They move back just a little bit. And I think the board still plays out nice to them. But what I will do, actually, Dalton, let me hear your thoughts on this. I mean, we could get nuts here. As much as you could go Caleb Downs, what about the idea of David Bailey on that front? I mean, I know they got Jared Verse and Byron Young's coming off a good year, but like this is that might be the Rams' play here, actually. But what do you think here, Bailey or Downs? If they're making a move up to 7, what do you think the Rams are doing it for?
Throwing it out there, I don't think you should take Ruben Bain out of that equation because keep in mind too that Bain. The one thing the reason that I have him ahead of Bailey is that he's a little more versatile and better in run defense. And when you talk about the Rams at times getting into some of those 5-man fronts, I feel more comfortable about Bain either in the C gap or even further inside than I would about Bailey. I think with Bailey, the only problem for me with Bailey would be you're getting in kind of a true situational NASCAR package, right? Where you have Verse and Byron Young had an unbelievable year this year. I think if you wanted to get more fluid actually with the defensive fronts, I would take Bain over Bailey and really mess around. And plus, you've got Josiah Stewart in there. You got a monster of an edge group anyway. But the fact that Bain can reduce inside and do some of the things he can do, and as pass rushers, just pure pass rushers, they're about even. But Bain's flexibility, and he was a cheat code in Miami's run defense as well, and the different ways you can use him. I actually would make this decision between Bain or Downs. And I've also, when staying at 13, I've been taking Mekhi Lemon a lot to this team. A lot. I mean.
And I've kind of looked at the Rams at 13 and then now with the Ravens in their context of like almost not having that pick at 14 as like two great Jordan Tyson spots. Like the Rams, if it works out, dude, go make that play. Because like as much as I love Lemon, when he's healthy, I think Tyson's clearing away the best receiver in this class. So like the Rams, go make that luxury swing the bat. And then for the Ravens, it's like you almost didn't have this pick. Like if this works out, you get him at 14. This is shades of, oh my God, Tyler Linderbaum's here at 25. Oh my God, they got Kyle Hamilton at 4. It kind of gives off that same energy. But I like your point about Bain there too, because Rams top 5 last year in the league in stunts and twists. And that's where I think like Bain, even if he's not 270, like 268, let's just say 268 to 272. Let's just call that his playing weight. His bend and build-up speed on stunts and twists, holy cow, with Braden Fisk, with Byron Young, with Josiah Stewart, with Jared Verse. Oh, dude, I was really set on this being Downs, but now the more you talk about Bain there, damn, that might be. And also, like I'm thinking about this front office, as much as they would trade up, they wanted to do it with Bowers. They saw him basically as a receiver. They wanted to do it for Tedero and McMillan, high position value. I'm not entirely sure they do it for a safety. So you know what, Dalton, this was not how I planned on having this play in this move go out, but I'm going to go Ruben Bain Jr. and the rich get richer. The Rams just further cement their status of like they're just trying to build the best roster humanly possible. And they get a guy that makes that roster even better right now. So I'll go Ruben Bain.
You see, TJ, this is why we get long-winded, just for ideas like that. This is how we end up extending these shows, just to get the ideas that we didn't think of beforehand and all of that. Because I didn't think the Rams trading up here is really interesting because it'd have to be to somebody that they really, really want. Now, they're in win-now mode, so I get it. And I think on the Commanders side of this too, look, they're the first team to me that really need to trade down. If they don't get if there's not somebody there at 7 that blows them away, they really do need to trade down with only 2 top 100 picks right now.
And it was something that, again, long form analysis, sometimes you come to these conclusions after talking it through. We had Alex Katzen on the show last week to kind of break down free agency for each team. And after the end of our discussion with the Commanders, on one side, it looks like, hey, no matter what the board is, we've kind of positioned ourselves. If Jeremiah Love's not there, okay, well, we got Rachaad White. We're covered. But it also looks like you look at a lot of those moves, and it almost looks like they're bracing themselves to not get any of those guys because they want to trade back. And to your point, I think 7's the one spot where, like, I could see a team for one of those edge rushers, for Caleb Downs, maybe 7's where the risk appetite's there. And I think the Browns, it would make sense if Freeling's your guy. But if they love Carnell Tate, then I don't know if you pass that up. So I'm with you there through and through. The Commanders, they kind of patched up all the guys you might target. They move back. They get an extra swing of the bat. So, and then Bain, dude, like, God, Bain to the Rams. Now you've got me sweating. Like that might be a terrifying sight. If you're an NFC West fan, good Lord, that'd be terrifying. All right, Saints. This is kind of your number 2 team. Like when I think of Dalton Wasserman, I think of the New York Jets, and I think of the New Orleans Saints. So this also kind of worked out well with you getting even. So what do you want to do here with the Saints?
I think I'm leaning. I think I'm leaning receiver. There's some thoughts that I could improve this defense. I do think David Bailey mixed in with Carl Granderson and with Chase Young. I do think that would make them better. He would fit into Brandon Staley's defense. There's not a defensive tackle I feel comfortable enough. I think that's arguably their biggest need aside from receiver is D tackle. But there's nobody I'm comfortable enough with to take top 10 in this class. Mansour Delane could be an option. At corner, still very young corner room, and if there's somebody else they can move into the nickel, depending on how good they feel about Kool-Aid and about Quincy Riley. But I think the two guys I'm between here are it depends. The Jordan Tyson question is so hard because they really need Jordan Tyson more than anything.
Right.
But how predictive do we get? Is he going to fall? Is a medical an issue?
And then the other thing I would bring up with, I personally think Mekhi Lemon can play Z. But some people see him as slot only, and if you like Devon Vele enough, he's a pretty decent power slot. So, like, the Lemon of it all might complicate things and kind of force you into Tyson here. So, just one other thing of note. I think Lemon could play Z, but some people see him as slot only. So,
I think he could too. I think he's just so movable and so shifty. Because for a long time before they made the big Travis Etienne signing, I was giving this team Jeremiah.
Oh, love through and through.
I mean, it would have fit. Now they're going to put all their eggs in Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
Man. Let's say they take the swing and go Jordan Tyson. Let's just say this is a draft. We're doing a mock here where we get the high end, I think, outcome for Jordan Tyson here. This is probably the highest he would go, but they need a receiver to take the pressure off of Chris Olave. And I think Tyson's the best intermediate route runner in this draft. I think Tyler Shuck is really going to like him. You know, when you talk about him needing to improve as a passer over the middle of the field, I think Tyson could help him do that a lot.
Oh, 100%. And then I also think Tyson can play X. We can move Olave to Z. I think that's kind of better for him too. Let's just get him away from, less contact, the better for Chris Olave at this point. And then to kind of put a bow on this point, Tyson at 8, yes, I know he's got his warts, right? Like the injuries are concerning. But your second round options would be Chris Bell coming off an injury, Jeremy Bernard, who's a good compliment guy, Brazel, who I like, but I don't know if everyone loves him at 42. And then same thing with kind of Ted Hurst or, Malachi Field. So like your options at 42, maybe there's some people who prefer those options, but once you get past Carnell Tate, and even he kind of, not for everyone, I guess, with the 40 and whatnot, but that's a little overblown to me. But, you start to get to this point where, like, not every one of these receivers is, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Romo Dunze, where you're kind of, like, squinting to find flaws. So,
well, I think the fact is, people have to remember with this receiver class, we talk about the top or, 3 or 4 guys. None of them. We don't have a receiver prospect like that in this class.
All right, then on to the Chiefs here at 9. And, dude, man, I kind of wish we could have had the Jordan Tyson conversation for the Chiefs. Like, that could have been the ultimate upside swing. But I'm also pulling up our lads real quick just to make sure I didn't miss anything crazy with this team. Man.
They didn't do a whole lot. Kenneth Walker, Alohi Gilman, getting rid of every corner on the roster.
Right. And as much as like you see a lot of mocks now going corner, that's just not how Spags is done. Like Noah Williams, Jalen Watson, even case in point, it's been round 3 or later. And I still think you could even get a guy at like 29. Like you could get Colton Hood there, who's a great star.
I think if it's me here for Kansas City, I could see the case for any one of those first 3 guys right there. Any one of them.
And Downs is the guy where I'm like, dude, man, I just think back to them having the Honey Badger. And I'm like, not that I'm saying like Downs is 1-to-1, especially like on an athletic standpoint. I don't know. Like the Honey Badger was a special breed, but could play strong, could play free, could play in the nickel. Just like let this guy be a difference maker. That's kind of fun. But I'm also like, dude, if you took Felix Anudike-Uzomah, and no disrespect, I understood the thought process. But if you took him at 32, I mean, imagine David Bailey at 9. Like, and I also just think back to this team. I think the pick's going to be for me, David Bailey. And I just think and this isn't fair necessarily considering they don't play in a dome, but like I just think about Dwight Freeney and what he was for the Colts with Peyton Manning, right? Like you get up 10 and you're in the 4th quarter and you just let that flamethrower do what he does. So I'm gonna say the Chiefs get back on track. This is gonna be a good football team. They're not gonna be picking top 10 the next year. I'm gonna go David Bailey, and he's gonna be their finisher basically. And I will say like George Karlaftis, his run defense, that makes you feel a little bit better about Bailey on first downs too.
I'm with you. I'm in on that. I think you talk about a Chiefs team that just needs to find a way to create more pressure. The pass rush is Chris Jones and it's George Karlaftis, and their 3rd best pass rusher is Steve Spagnuolo. Honestly, that's kind of how that goes. It's just they just don't have enough of a luxury in big games right now to only rush 4, right? I think if you, again, David Bailey can change your pass rush. Can I do as much with him on early downs as I can with Bain? Not necessarily. He's more of a high risk, high reward playmaker as a run defender, but this team needs to generate pressure. And if you want to go ahead and attack the secondary later in the draft, I absolutely get it.
And you can still play Ashton Gelati on early downs. Like if you think Bailey's that big of a liability, it is also Gelati's a guy you could collapse and died on passing downs too. So kind of still works with the pieces they've invested on the D line too. So I like David Bailey there at 9. What do you want to do here with Bengals at 10?
Easy. Run it in. Give me Caleb Downs. No question about it. I with Bailey and Bain both off the board here. Those are the two guys I would think about, with Styles off the board as expected here. They do have a need at linebacker. We might attack it later. If the board falls like this, no question, sprint it in. Caleb Downs, put him next to Brian Cook in the starting lineup. You still have Jordan Battle, who you can use as the third guy. Obviously nickel's the new base if you want all three of them out there. If you want to go to a true base defense, if you're Al Golden, then it's Downs and Cook, and Downs is flying all over the place. Caleb Downs, to me, I would argue Caleb Downs the best football player in this draft. I really would. There just aren't very many flaws to his game at all, and I think he's one of the few players that changes the complexion of your team. If the Cincinnati got Caleb Downs at 10, I would have no issue with it whatsoever. We got to work on the front seven throughout the rest of the draft, but this makes you secondary really, really good, especially with Brian Cook, former Bearcat, coming in, one of really the more underrated safeties in football right now.
Yeah, you look at that secondary, it's like perfect for the Bengals. Yeah, Bearcat, and then like they love this Ohio State to Bengals, pipeline too. So, and I almost wonder here with this fit, do you just go big nickel with it and just play Caleb Downs as like your slot? Because if that's what you're playing him, dude, his tackling, his ability as a coverage player against tight ends, running back, like that sounds kind of ideal to me too. Also, not
the
a great
luxury
unit.
The luxury of Caleb Downs is you don't even have to think about, oh, I got to put him in this role, or I need, we could put him here ideally. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Caleb Downs is one of the very few football players in this draft where I just put him on the field. And his football IQ is off the absolute charts, and it has been like that since his true freshman year at Alabama.
Couldn't agree more. And then I wanted to ask you, the last 2 years, I feel like you've nailed on the head of like the safest player in the class. 2 years ago, you said it was Joe Alt. Last year, you said it was Mason Graham. Would you say that's Caleb Downs this year? Is he your guy for that?
Absolutely. He's just so even. I remember when he transferred to Ohio State, and I was like, all right, let me dig in one more time on this year of Alabama tape, which was already really good. And we had the high grades, top 10 graded safety in the country or whatever it was as a true freshman. And I was like, this kid's ahead of his time. He could, honestly, after his true freshman year in the NFL or in college football, he could have played in the league. No question. He's just so darn smart. That's the first thing that jumps out at me is I go, he's just almost this like just savant level vision that he has out there, and he can play it from any angle, like you mentioned. Yeah, I would say Caleb Downs is that guy for me. Yeah,
like, and it's not often you say that, like Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs, and I think back to like Adrian Peterson, where like you saw him at 18 and you're like, yeah, they got the goods. Sundays, they're ready for Sundays. Let's go. All right, so then we get to the Dolphins here at 11. And this has been kind of like a lot of the mocks I've seen since the Waddle trade. This has been like Mekhi Lemon through and through, which I get. Like, replace one stylistic player, you kind of push the winning window back. I understand that. But to be completely honest with you, I don't know if they're going to do that here. And honestly, I'm between Vega Ioane and Spencer Fano. And I came into this thinking I was going to do Vanga. Plug him in at left guard, see if Jonas Savaiinaea can kind of salvage his career early goings, but see if the move back to the right side of the O-line can kind of unlock him. But at the same time, do you just go Spencer Fano then? And I know the arms came back a little bit longer at his pro day, but like, then you at least have the luxury long term of like, we could play him at guard right now, but what if he's a tackle in a couple years for us? So I kind of sat with this and I'm like, I planned on doing Vanga, but I think I might go Spencer just because why not get some extra position versatility? And I'm also not entirely convinced Austin Jackson's like your dude in 5 years. So do you have thoughts on Vanga versus
the other one? I think, keep in mind, defensive head coach coming in, Jeff Hafley. I do think this is probably the worst secondary in football right now.
Yeah,
I think Mansour Delane is absolutely on. If the only reason I would I'd let you go elsewhere, obviously, with this, on top of the fact that it's your pick, is that I've drafted Delane to the Dolphins so much over the last 3 months, like a million times, that I am just curious to see like the thought process and the way things would shake out. Because I'll just up front right now with you. If you pass on Delane here, I'm going to take him next. I'm going to take him at 12. No question about it.
Well, interesting. Okay. Well, I'm also again not trying to
that's not how draft etiquette works in the war rooms on the first night. But I will tell you here on a fun version of it, I'm taking Delane at 12 if you don't take him here. You won't get him to Washington if you're trying to set yourself up here.
Low-key was kind of thinking about Washington at 13, was thinking a little bit about that. But also to your point, peek behind the curtain here, it is because like I couldn't tell you the last time I did a mock where it wasn't a corner he had 11, to be completely honest with you. And I do wonder, halfly the last 2 years at Green Bay, I was, go draft a corner, and they just never did. And maybe that's the board. And, he's not the guy as the DC making the pick ultimately. But I wonder if they look at pick 30 and if they would be comfortable with Terrell, Hood, Cisse, one of those guys, Pons, Chris Johnson. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility one of those two guys could sneak into the late round one if they just think that's the football player for me. So I kind of wanted to go online just to mix it up a little bit.
Sure.
Oh, man.
I think as a guard, I'd be more sure, obviously, because he's done it before, of Ioane than Fano.
Yeah.
And part of it too with Fano, there's certain scheme fits I like better than others because of the athleticism. But I get the idea either way. You're just trying to fill this thing out and protect Malik Willis and then whoever the next quarterback is by any means necessary.
Right. And I think this is one of those schemes where it would make sense. And we are looking at Austin Jackson. He's got void years. He's got 2027 and then void years after that. So you know what? Again, the plan was for me to go Venga, but I think I'm going to go Fano here. I think this is a scheme where he fits. Bobby Slowick, Shanahan disciple. And then worst case scenario, he's one of our guards. Maybe there's a world where he replaces Austin Jackson. So I'm going to go Spencer Fano. Again, I kind of planned on it being Venga there. And also I feel like Venga is one of those guys where don't be surprised if you hear his name earlier than people are kind of expecting right now. And especially I looked at the Ravens signing John Simpson and they need two guards and that's only one of the two. So maybe I'm reading too much into this, but that felt like a signal to me that we would love Venga at 14, but he might not be there. But also they didn't plan on having that pick because of Matt Crosby. So, maybe it's that. So anyways, okay. So Delane here, 12. Is that the pick here for Dallas?
Yeah. Delane at 12. I'm just by any means necessary fixing this back seven for Dallas. I like the Jalen Thompson signing at safety. If Caleb Downs ever got to 12, again, run the card in. Just do it. Just change your defense. And I think at corner, they've got Deron Bland who can play inside. Siobhan Revel they drafted last year wasn't a great rookie year between injuries and just didn't look great the second half of the year anyway. I think to bring in a talent like Delane into that secondary, you're trying to change. This was the worst coverage team in the league last year, pretty solidly. They got to get a primetime talent like that. I have no issue with that. He only gave up 14 catches all year this year at LSU. Just man, zone, whatever you want. He developed into a primetime player this last year. So I'm in on it. I think Delane, Downs, Sonny Styles won't get to 12, but if he ever did, sprint it in. There's certain guys. 20 is the more interesting pick to me, but there's a certain list of guys at 12 where if one of them is there, go ahead and do it. Delane is one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then you talk about signing a Kobe Durant in free agency, guy who's played some in the nickel. I think Bland's best spot has been in the nickel. So I almost wonder, could Kobe, does he end up playing a little bit of safety for this team? But yeah, just bringing in bodies this, it was clear in a way that defense needed to be overhauled. Christian Parker coming in as the new DC. He's going to have some new bodies to work with. No doubt about that. And Delane, dude, that's an NFL ready guy. His footwork, his technique, especially at the line of scrimmage, that dude's ready to play on Sundays. So then we get to the Commanders. And this is interesting. I could see a world where they go the Jermon McCoy route. I could see Dan Quinn falling in love with Jermon McCoy and the upside. And McCoy's kind of the defensive version of Jordan Tyson, where if you make those guys players who only missed 2 games last year, let's just say that was all they had. Those 2 guys don't make it out of the top 5 to me personally. If you take away the injury concern, those guys are awesome football players. But that being said, and their safety room's okay, but I could also see Dylan Thieneman. He's been a hot riser upwards. You throw him in the mix with Nick Cross. And then they already still have Jeremy Reeves, who's okay, he's a fine football player. Will Harris is the other safety. He's fine. He's okay. So
Thieneman, Mekhi Lemon.
We just go Mekhi Lemon. Do we go Lemon and try to go corner at 61 now that we have that extra second round pick?
Yeah, it's kind of the similar approach they took last year, right, when they got Trey Amos in the second round, right? So, there's at least some sort of precedent for it. I think a Chandler Rivers would fit if you like him on the outside.
I like Devin Moore. I don't know where you're at with Moore, but I'd be comfortable taking him at 61 for this team.
I need to do the full watch on Moore. I just haven't gotten to him yet.
And maybe we get a crazy draft here and Abney falls. That's another guy I could kind of see them loving.
Even in Dan Quinn's defense, I would love Chris Johnson. I would love him. I just don't. We'll see if we get him to 61, but I think he'd be an ideal fit in this defense if you got that. Anyway, also to get Sainra still back in the slot, I think would help this team. But there's some fits in round 2 you could go with if they miss out on Delane and they don't feel comfortable about McCoy's injuries or Terrell this high still.
Because then the alternative would be, okay, what receiver would we take at 61? And I'm kind of going down the board. Maybe Braswell, maybe it's a Ted Hurst. I could see something like that. Antonio Williams for a slot type.
I think at that point, I mean, I like those guys. I love Lemon.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
It's kind of that thing.
And also, eventually, you got to pass the torch of Terry McLaurin. So, like, let's let him be the boundary receiver. We'll let him play X. That's unfortunately kind of what he's been stuck doing in Washington his whole career. And then that way, Mekhi Lemon comes in, and I just think about the slot fades that Jaden used to throw to Malik Neighbors at LSU. With Lemon's ball skills, like he plays bigger than 5'11". Like, feed that man, especially in the red zone. Feed that man. So I like Lemon there. That kind of worked out well. I didn't plan on this being the route for Washington. I was hoping it would be Delane, but I'm here for this.
All right, 14 in Baltimore. All the receivers off the board makes this pick super, super, super easy. Hand me Venga Ioane. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna replace Andrew Voorhees. They brought John Simpson in to play one side. Ioane, I think, is one of the safer picks in this draft as well. I think just plug and play, solid. The anchor, he's unbelievably strong. I think the athleticism is probably closer to a B than an A when you talk about how often can he get to the second level in the lateral movement? That's probably just solid. But when you talk about the strength and the ability of this guy to just pass protect on the inside, you don't got to worry about anything. I think Ioane, we might even look at center later on in the second round, or maybe we get into round 3 eventually and they'll do that. But I think Ioane is a major upgrade. And with him and Simpson in there, we at least lock down those 2 guard spots.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I mean, if Vega gets there to 14, that just feels like a Raven in the making right there. And honestly, like they have good options. Like Kenyon Sadiq would be a lot of fun as like an Isaiah Likely replacement. Akeem Mesidor with Trey Hendrickson, just like 2 master technicians with their hands. That's fun to watch. But like Vega plus John Simpson, like damn, they did it in one offseason. This thing that's been lingering around for 3 years is this huge issue. And Jesse Minter comes in.
Yep.
And that's the other point.
For as much as you still have, the pass rush and defense, we still have to remember, even though he's been around forever, the whole key to this team is Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Right. 100%. And to build around and to protect Lamar is just the smart thing to do.
And also, like, virtue signaling here. I wanted Jesse Minter as the Steelers head coach. Like, I wanted oxygen, or I need oxygen. So the fact that Vega's there at 14, and now I'm looking at a hole in the Steelers left guard spot with Seumalo gone, like, this just tells me everything I need to know. Vega is he's a Baltimore Raven. So then, speaking of options for the Ravens, 2 of those guys definitely in play here for the Bucs. Sadiq, with bringing back Cade Otton, I've kind of moved away from that. But Sadiq's a good football player, and after that combine, I thought it would be crazy for him to fall out of the first half of the first round, but it looks like we're going to go that way. I'm going to go with Akeem Mesidor.
I was just going to say the 2 things that I would do here. I would either, for the Bucs, as bad as they need pass rush, I would either take Mesidor or I would trade down. I don't like the way this is a board that I don't like the way it fell for the Bucs.
Who trades up and for who? Like, is there a team that's itching for Freeling here? It's a 1-year deal for Rasheed Walker, but I don't think the Panthers. I don't think Eric Eager's looking to give up picks to be completely honest.
I think 2. I think maybe 2. Detroit. Oh, okay, 3. You just pointed out a third one to me. Detroit, Pittsburgh, or Cleveland trading up for Freeling.
The Steelers. And now this isn't fair, but like one Georgia tackle flamed out, like that would be a hard sell for the Steelers fan base, like going up and trading up for. And also we traded up for Broderick Jones, so like. I could just see, not that it's fair, the helmet, different players, all that sort of stuff, but I could just see that room being a little hesitant to go trade up for a Georgia tackle again.
I could see Detroit just trying to lock it in, or Cleveland, because if Cleveland, regardless of the road they went about it, if they did leave this draft with Tate and Freeling, right, they're getting A++ across the board from from all the critics. That's for sure.
And what I would say is, I don't know, I feel pretty similarly about Freeling and Lomu personally. Like, there's not a huge difference on my board, but you hear how people around the league talk about those 2. People like Lomu. People love Monroe Freeling. So honestly, I think, and also we're talking AFC, NFC flip here. So let me see what this would take. And we're talking about a Browns team that has, second round pick, a third, and then next year 2 1s. And I think 2 2s next year. Might be overstepping there, but let me double check what this would call. I like that idea. And for Cleveland, you got to turn these picks. It's good to have a lot of swings at the bat, but also you got to turn these into like premium hits and like number 1 receiver, left tackle of future. I think that's how you get that done. So hold on, we're at 740 for pick 24. We're looking to get up to 1,050 points. So we need about 300. So really like pick 70, and then like we'll make it a 4th round pick too. So like 70 and 107. I like this team taking as many swings at the bat as humanly possible, but did a lot of offensive line work in free agency. I could see where they're going for the premium swings versus the quantity. We want to make this trade?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get the Browns. Let's get the Browns freeling, and then I think the Bucs. There'll be pass rush options that I think they would still be comfortable with at 24. I think you're either taking the swing on Mesidor or again the way the board fell. The trade down for the Bucs there makes a lot of sense to me. They're in a tough spot, I think, with such specific needs at edge and linebacker, especially. And I'll be honest with you. I know the C.J. Allen conversation will come up here eventually.
Yeah,
I watched his tape one last time yesterday.
Okay,
I'm a little down on him. I'll be honest. I'm a little down on C.J. Allen.
Okay,
I don't think to the point where I don't think I could do it in the top 20.
Yeah, and I have Josiah Trotter as my off-ball 3, but like to me, the discussions around those guys with like Denver's pick at 30 is when I started to entertain it. It was like I could see that, but obviously now Denver didn't even have that pick. But yeah, like the Jets at 33, the Cardinals at 30. I have much more. My risk appetite for an Allen, Trotter, who like both struggle in coverage a lot. At 34, I like that a lot more than say 20 to Dallas. So I'm with you on that. I like both those guys, but just because Arvell Reese and Styles are going to go so high in this draft, I do worry about those guys getting pushed up artificially up the board because of that too. But cool. Freeling moves up. And just being completely candid, looking at the odd number picks, I don't see a place where I have Mesidor come off the board. So odds are we're going to get to 24, and Mesidor is still going to be a Tampa Bay Buck. It's going to be like shades of the Vikings Darrisaw move, where it's like, oh, they could have drafted that guy at 17. Oh, shit, they got him at 23. Okay, well, that's a win.
I could see an argument. I know you need a tackle, but I could see an argument with Mesidor with the very next pick at 17.
Yeah, you definitely could, sure. Dude. Yeah, you look at the Lions, our lads, everyone not named Aiden Hutchinson, you're like, oof. Yeah. But that being said, what do you want to do here with your Jets? We've gone Arvell.
We've got
What's
Reese.
The next best play here?
This is funny because all the receivers are gone.
Yep.
So my thought immediately goes now to Nyowane's gone, and that's been a popular pick among some Jets. Some of the Jets beat also. My thought goes to the secondary. And do we continue to stack? Because I'm trying to think it's safety. We've got Minka. We've got Malachi Moore. They brought Cisco back for like $2 million.
Yeah.
And then I feel like there's somebody else I'm missing. There's another one that I'm missing because I'm tempted to just
looks like Dane Belton from the Giants.
Oh, Dane Belton 1 year, and I think it was like $6 million.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to say Thieneman just because I love Thieneman. I think he's one of the best players.
You've been on Thieneman as a first rounder since August, so I got to give my hats off to you on that.
I've been on Thieneman's potential since he was at Purdue.
A freshman at Purdue,
true freshman year. He was the best single high safety in the country. There's just loaded at safety with veterans already that I wonder if this is the part where they would either take Terrell or they would take the swing on McCoy. Like, where are you at with the McCoy situation? Because we can go corner and I can wait on safety and have no issue. I love Thieneman so much, man. To see him in jet green, I would not hate it one bit.
I mean, that feels like dream fulfillment there for you, like getting Thieneman from Oregon to the Jets. I would probably go McCoy. He's a little bit higher on my board right now, and I do like that kind of swing of the bat. One, you don't need him to play immediately right now. And the other way I look at y'all's roster is like, I thought Nashawn Wright was going to get a lot more money in free agency than he did. So one of two things is going to happen this year. Either he's going to have another type of season like he did last year, make a lot of money in next free agency. He's going to be playing for a lot more than just 1 year, $5.5 million, or he's going to regress to the mean and only have, an interception and still get picked on a little bit in coverage. And I don't know if you guys are bringing him back at that point. And then Brandon Stevens, you can move on from him after this upcoming season. So I do wonder if and then Azaria Thomas, 3rd round pick, like I'm interested to see where that goes. But I do wonder if there's an opening and like Jermon McCoy, like when he's at his, best, I could see where like Aaron Glenn looks at that guy and is like, this guy shut down Ryan Williams right in the middle of like a heater run that he was on at Bama. So I think I lean McCoy there, but like, dude, Thieneman plus Minka Fitzpatrick for a team that had no interceptions last year, you want to change that. Thieneman might be the guy. So
yeah, and none of those guys we mentioned to me are really true single high. Like they're versatile and they can do some things. Cisco is the closest thing, but he wasn't great this year. I could consider. Oh man, that's tough.
And also what I would say about y'all's safety room, in 5 years, I don't expect to see any of those names on there. Maybe Malachi Moore. That would be like the one. But like,
two of them are on 1 year deals. I mean, yeah. You know what? Just because, you know what? Let's do it. We've long-winded ourselves into another one. Give me Dylan Thieneman. I'm doing it. I'll figure out corner in the second round. I'm in.
So, and this works out perfectly. This is my masterclass. I feel like I've just now put together exactly what I need to see happen. Because this is the spot where I look at Jermon McCoy and I'm like, and again, Akeem Ezador definitely makes some sense here. Because yeah, dude, I know they just signed DJ Wonum, and I liked Ahmad Hassanin, but like I liked him as a day 3 guy. But I look at that cornerback room, and like Arnold has had a hard time figuring it out. Rakestraw coming off injury, DJ Reed coming off a down year, and all those guys are either vertically or horizontally challenged. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of shades of what we were talking about the Rams pre-McDuffie and Watson moves, where it's like they get bodied by A.J. Brown. And like I'm just thinking about what could stand in the way of the Detroit Lions. And I feel like, man, you could still throw on this team. So I'm kind of leaning McCoy. Now, granted, there is like definitely an injury risk that comes with that. But I also feel like at 50, man, could Zion Young make it to you at 50? Maybe, maybe not. But like whether it's Zion Young, whether it's Gabe Akis, Malachi Lawrence, Joshua Josephs, Derek Moore, even.
I'm a big fan. Me and Max are big fans of Derek Moore. If you got Derek Moore,
I love me some Derek Moore. So yeah, I'm gonna go Jermon McCoy here, and I'm just gonna say at 50, we'll have an edge rusher we like there. And now, granted, I'm also ignoring left tackle. So like that's kind of but I'm also doing that partially because one, McCoy is one of the higher ranked players on my board. And then 2, I do Lomo, kind of like what we talked about earlier. I do Lomo in every freaking mock draft now. So for the sake of like Lions fans, I will spare you the Caleb Lomu selection here at 17.
Reasonable. All right. The Vikings, this to me is one of the hardest teams to pick for.
Yes.
I just, as I scroll through and I'm just like, what?
And once upon a time, like, if you told me Peter Woods was here for this team, I'd have been like, oh my God, sprint the car. But now you look at Peter Woods and you're like, you want to take him inside the top 20? You know, like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's the problem with D tackles is they're all so different and it has to be such just the right fit.
100%. And see, this is what you get for taking Thieneman at 16.
I've gone McNeil Warren here before.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy.
And honestly, you know the thought I have too that doesn't get said enough. Like Jalen Naylor leaves and Jordan Addison has whatever going on that he's going on. Is Omar Cooper? Do I need more? Because this team does not have a ton of after the catch in its offense. Is this quietly, for as much as we don't even have it listed there as one of their biggest needs, but is this quietly hey, this team kind of sort of needs another weapon, sort of bit. I mean, especially, I know Kyler Murray's coming in and the passing game should look better than it did because of the quarterback situation. But, they really haven't done much of anything in free agency, especially on the offensive side. So what do we think about Omar Cooper here?
Well, dude, last week in my mock with Ray, not to keep bringing up another mock, I feel like I'm cheating on you, but I had Jordan Tyson be the pick here because I look at so much of his intermediate route running and I'm like, dude, that dude has it's scary to say someone has shades of Justin Jefferson because of the expectations that sets, but like in the 10 to 19 yard range, Tyson and Jefferson, like those guys they're assassins. So like, and then also like Jordan Addison, him and Rashee Rice are in like a 2-man race to like who can get out of the league faster. So at this point too, they're not paying Addison, so like he's going to hit the market whenever he does, and he's going to be done as a Viking. So I don't hate Omar, and I also like your point yards after the catch. Kyler, if he's the starter, throwing over the middle of the field's tough. So like easy bubble action to Cooper, or if you're JJ McCarthy starting, let's make his life as easy as possible. Little bubble action to a yak guy. I kind of love the Omar Cooper here idea.
In a vacuum, I'm not quite as high on Cooper as say the top 3, and like some other scouts even will have Cooper as wide receiver 2 or 3. But this fit, and I just have a hard time making this pick for the Vikings because it's like their needs are so tilted towards things I could get on day 2. Running back for sure, defensive tackle. I don't have to force it here. Safety, it's a deep safety class. Center is later on with Ryan Kelly. Like there's not a center I'm taking anywhere near here, right? So I mean, at a certain point, do you just go, well, let's take kind of a sort of a need, but also just a really good football player. Let's go Omar Cooper here. I haven't done it yet. And then this pick 49 is going to be an interesting one to see where that falls to.
And what I will say, a lot of Vikings fans have been keen to tell me that like Flores does not normally play young guys. And that's been a track record of his since Miami. Like he does not like having to play rookies if he doesn't have to. And you even saw it with Dallas Turner a couple of years ago. Trade up, stay with 17, and then he doesn't play for 2 years. So I actually think KOC would be more inclined to get use out of Cooper than, Emmanuel McNeil Warren here, maybe for Flores. So I like that. I like that a lot. Panthers at 19. Man, I don't know if the doctor, Eric Eager would go with Kenyon Sadiq here, but damn, that feels awesome. Oh, also one other thought about the Vikings, TJ Hawkinson getting up there at age. So like targets, like you're going to take less from him and give him to somewhere else. So I think another reason to go Cooper Jr. there. Man, Mesidor is an interesting one too, but I don't know. He doesn't win power a lot, so like that's kind of where like you already have Uman Nealon.
Yeah,
so, honestly,
I think the two guys
Terrell here. I've been kind of itching to do Terrell at 19, high position value at corner.
You're gonna put him on the inside. You can play him
in the nickel over Cho Smith-Wade.
If you put him on the inside, I could get in on that. The two guys at this point, I've done CJ Allen here before, but I told you I think he's going to drop for me in this draft. I'm with you. Sadiq is a thought because they have some nice inline blocking types at tight end. They don't really have a dynamic threat. It's been a problem for a couple of years. And a guy that I think would fit this defense specifically for what they need.
Let me hear it.
I do like Hayden McDonald.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's going this high. He is one-dimensional, but that one dimension is about as good as it gets, man. Even if this was a trade down spot, a few spots, and then I could still get McDonald, I like the idea of Caden McDonald in this defense. But is Caden McDonald really going before a Kenyon Sadiq? I don't think so. Probably not. I mean, Terrell's a good call, though. If you put him in the nickel with Jackson and Horn, well, that's a nice trio right there to be working with. I don't hate that at all.
If memory holds, Mike Jackson, he's 29, if my memory, but he's also in the last year of his deal. So let me double check his age. Yeah, 29. He'll turn 30 in January. And then you're talking about
funny. I think
eventually you could move Terrell outside too.
I think my good friend Ryan Smith, who's a Panthers podcaster, I might have to fact check this, but I think he told me the Panthers they never drafted a player from Clemson or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, which makes no sense considering their proximity. Yeah, they've never drafted a Clemson guy in the first round. Mitch was telling me the same thing last week. And here, real quick, on your Caden McDonald, really, if he didn't break his foot, this probably would have been a Caleb Banks spot in like 80% of my mocks. I'm just not a Turk Wharton guy. And like, I could just see where it's like, where defensive interior guys, if you're good, you're getting paid $20+ million. In specific, if you can rush the passer, you're getting paid $20+ million. So I could have seen that plus Derek Brown. Like, that's an interesting 1-2 punch. I'll also say Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, like Nick Scott has had a hard time kind of finding a home. Could you play Merrick at free? McNeil-Warren as like your Jeremy Chin type. Like, that could be fun.
I do like Lathan Ransom too, though. I think he could be.
Oh yeah,
he could continue to develop into something solid.
Let's go Terrell. Let's go on Terrell. We'll play him in the nickel. I think everything you like about Cho Smith-Wade, I think Terrell just does better. Like, no disrespect to Cho Smith-Wade, but day 3 pick for a reason. And then eventually, if you get your spot where like Mike Jackson walks and you need an outside corner, I think he's a little small, but like he's still got the goods from a coverage standpoint. Zone heavy defense for Jero Evero. I think he could work if you got into a spot where like you need him to play on the outside.
Man, we've got division. Find it out.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Let's see here. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
There we go. Okay, we're good. But I was just saying, you're getting AJ and Avion in the same division. Oof.
Oh.
Gonna get a twice a year battle between brothers down there. How about it? Anyway,
that feels about the most NFC. That feels like the storyline they have to pipe into the broadcast to make the NFC South watchable. Actually, so like now that you say that, lock him in. He's a Carolina Panther. He's a Panther.
Absolutely. Here we go with the Cowboys at 20.
Hold on, breaking news, Dalton.
LSU Pro Day. News. Oh boy.
LSU Pro no trade or anything. LSU Pro Day. Mansour Delane's 40 time just came out. What do we think it is?
Well, you sure looked at it like you're enjoying what you're seeing. I'm going to say 4.38.
It was 4.38 on the nose. I don't know how you just did that. That is banana land. If you told me he ran a 4.48, I'd have been like,
swear to you now, didn't look at it. I don't have Twitter open, nothing. I'm locked.
No, you don't even have your phone in your hand. Yeah, no, that's impressive, dude.
Just the sheer excitement on your face when you read it, I was like, that's a 4.3 something right there. It is.
Yep. So what you're telling me is I need to get into acting. The Oscar, I'm just emoting with my face.
Nailed it. You gave it away. You have a tell. I don't know what the tell was, but it was the 4.38 tell. It was just clear.
Don't play poker with me. Clearly, I'm going to give it away. Or actually, do play poker with me because clearly I make it easy. But dude, wow, 4.38 for Delane. That locks him in as CD1. He's going to be the first one off the board.
He's going top 15, no question. He may not get by the Dolphins at 11. Yeah,
he doesn't. Dude, and I wonder if Washington at 7 now. Like, Washington, do we need to trade back? Maybe he's just the pick at 7.
Kansas City
at 9. Yeah,
maybe they do it.
Okay.
You know,
anyways,
got to replace McDuffie somehow.
Programming.
Yeah, start the mock over. No, we're not starting the mock over. All right. This is hard with Dallas because so often I've been taking CJ Allen and now I'm backing off of it. So I have to find some other solution here. Got Rashawn Gary. The need off the edge isn't as much. I could go McNeil Warren. But they still have Malik Hooker. And they still have Jalen Thompson, who I do like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is ugly.
And this is another team that, like, if we're completely honest, no second round pick, a trade back here would be completely ideal. Is it the 49ers for Proctor, maybe? Like, I'm trying to think about who comes up and for who here.
Not Proctor. They wouldn't. Sadiq. Proctor doesn't.
They do it for Sadiq to replace Kittle.
I guess.
Is that what we're thinking? Trading up for a tight end.
Can I see what are the next handful of teams here? I'm thinking of just scenarios in my head.
Steelers. I could see the Chargers doing a 2-pick swap just to get, but Venga's already gone. Never mind. Maybe the Eagles to get Emmanuel McNeil Warren safeties, but I don't know if you do in-division trade here. That would be the only downside. But I don't know. We're seeing it more often. But the Eagles need a safety, so maybe they're like itching to get up the board. Or the Bears for that same reason. The Bears want Emmanuel McNeil Warren and they want to leap the Eagles. But the Bears don't have that many picks either, so I don't know if they're like Jones to get up from 25.
They've got an extra second, and I don't even know that they'd have to spend that much. Where are the Chiefs at? What kind of capital do the Chiefs have? Do we get the Chiefs, Sadiq?
Dude, I mean, if you're going to ever replace Travis Kelce, I mean, that's the yards after the catch skill set that you want right there.
I keep thinking about back seven. I mean, we could go D tackle with the Cowboys too. I think another spot where maybe Parker takes the gamble on Banks, or maybe they just take McDonald to seal it up, and then you can move Kenny Clark and Quinnen around him. Because I mean, one thing I think that's been kind of said around Dallas is that it feels like Christian Parker is just straight up trying to get bigger up front, right? Like shipping out Osa was a lot about getting bigger up front, trying to emulate what they had in Philly with Moro Ajomo and Jalen Carter, obviously, and Jordan Davis, right? And there's not, to me, a guy even – I mean, if there's one guy as freakish as Jordan Davis, it is Caleb Banks. He's kind of on my buyer beware list. Yeah, I don't love him on the first round bit, but this is a harder pick because I don't want to take CJ Allen here.
Yeah, and I've been on that Caleb Banks train this whole cycle. Someone else can take him in the first round. That's just kind of been me with Banks this whole year.
Who's trading up? What are some of the other prospects we have? Somebody trading up for Mesidor? Probably not.
Maybe Tampa Bay. Now that we just moved them back to 24, but or Chicago, right? Like if Chicago, I can't remember if I heard them reported in on the Hendrickson convos, but like if they were,
They made a heavy offer. They made a heavy offer on Hendrickson.
So a Chicago, Dallas flip. But again, how many picks does Chicago have? That's where, because I just looked at San Francisco. They don't have any thirds. So like that kind of is what makes it a little tough for them to move up to 20.
The Bears have the extra second.
They have the extra second now, but that's overkill, honestly. But you could give up 145, and that's about the right difference. It's about 130-point difference between 20 and 25. But frankly, would they do it for Mesidor or would they do it for McNeil Warren to replace Brisker? I mean, either way it works, but I wonder which one they would go up for.
Well, it's the age and injury stuff makes you think, would a team really gamble trading up for Mesidor?
Right.
And it's a great fit. Don't get me wrong. It's a terrific fit.
But like Kobe Bryant plus Emmanuel McNeil Warren, that sounds fun.
Nice.
They could also stick and take Zion Young at 25. I don't know.
But also, if I'm the Cowboys, then if McNeil Warren would have been a prime option for me,
do you just take McNeil Warren?
I could just take him now.
Totally. So I pulled it up real quick. 25 and 89 for 20. It's about right. So it's there. It's available.
89 doesn't get me that doesn't get me a pick in this mock that I get to make.
Yeah, I know.
Give me you know what? Give me McNeil Warren here to Dallas at 20. I'm going with it. And they have Hooker, they have Thompson now, but you just fit them in and figure it out. Christian Parker will figure out how to make it work.
And that's kind of with Christian Parker coming from Philadelphia, where they moved Chauncey Gardner-Johnson around, they moved Cooper DeJean around. Like that's a creative mind. And also, like, let's be completely honest, Malik Hooker at this point in his career, if you love EMW, I don't think Hooker's standing in the way of that. So I think that's just kind of a guy that you could play a game tomorrow with, but in a perfect world, we could upgrade that position. So I like that. And dude, Delane and EMW, I mean, that is just so much a cleaner secondary right there. I love that.
And you know what? Even if they're waiting until round 3, they can attack linebacker in round 3. Don't hate it.
Yeah. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dalton, I want you to take this pick because at this point, like my Steelers rhetoric is, been drowned to death. We did just sign Brock Hoffman, who could play guard or center for us right now. Like left guard's a big hole, but like Vega not being there, I don't know if we take another guy. I'm just to give you where I'm at. I'm like 80% sure this pick's Ty Simpson, but that's just kind of where I'm at right now. Hosting the draft, offensive-minded head coach comes in. To me, that's where the stars are kind of taking me. But with that said, you now hold the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers in your hands. You're at 21.
I think this is a place where Simpson does make sense because it's very clear that either A, Aaron Rodgers is coming back for a start in a year, or B, if Rodgers does retire, it feels like Kirk Cousins will then be a Steeler. That's what he's waiting on, right? I think Cousins is either going to be in Pittsburgh if Rodgers retires, or he's going to go to Vegas with Kubiak.
Exactly.
So
and I would have really Ty or kind of KC really like. If
Ty. I would have heavily thought about Cooper. I like KC pretty much just as much as Cooper, so I think it does make sense. And they still, even with Pittman, they need an after the catch element. The other guy I would think about there, actually, there's multiple. You know me, I would think about a tackle. I would think about fixing that tackle situation. And the good news is it's almost like who would be the Steelers' favorite because you could take Proctor as just plug him in and Broderick, you're getting traded or we're going to find something to do with you. You could take Blake Miller on the right side and move Troy back over where it's natural for him on the left side. I think they do have that luxury. You could take Ionicher if you just feel like he's the best athlete. I mean, that's really Lomu, Caleb Lomu, any of those first 4 guys. Yeah, I think you could make a case for here for Pittsburgh. It's just that, and you probably have a better feel than me. How much are they just committed to Broderick Jones this season? Did they? I assume no. Did they pick up the 5th year?
I don't think they did. Let me double check that. I don't believe they did.
Unless that deadline hasn't gone by yet. It might have not gone by yet, but
let me double check. They have until May 1st of 26. So they have a little over a month to make that decision.
A little over a month is draft time now, isn't it? I mean,
that's the tough part. Yeah, May 1st of 21, or May 1st of 26. So like you've cleared the draft at that point before you have to even make the decision. So it'll be $19 million though. That's where I'm like, dude, I don't know if there's anything in Broderick Jones' career at this point you can look at and say, let's pay that guy $19 million. And dude, Frank, I don't love the idea of playing Dylan Cook, but I don't know. It worked out with Alaric Jackson, the Rams, and Warren McClendon. Maybe it's a Rams thing, but like at this point, Cook's giving me more to get at least a little excited about. So I'm with you. And Proctor is also interesting because could you play him at guard, see if the Dylan Cook thing works out, and if it doesn't, like Proctor is your left tackle, like kind of a twofold fix there. But it's not great. Not a great time to be a Steelers fan. I'll be honest. But this is the Steelers every year where you look at this team, they're picking at 20-something, and they have like 3 holes they all could attack. It's like corner, receiver, and quarterback normally, but now it's O-line. So, I mean, it's just
let's go Ty Simpson just because today.
Hey, Steelers fans, I didn't do it. Don't yell at me. I'm not the one.
Today, especially, it's been the hot topic for sure. And there will be no one more argued about than Ty Simpson this year, just like Jackson Dart last year. Right. I think, for the record, I'll just throw it out there because I'm here. I think Ty Simpson is very clearly QB2. I think very much so ahead of anybody else below him. I think QB3 you could argue outside the top 100. I don't care. I do think they're going to need to protect him. I would prefer Simpson to go to a place where he doesn't have to start day one, which this would be the case here regardless because I think it'll be Rodgers or Cousins. But that's where I stand on it. He is very solidly QB2 by a pretty solid margin both ways on that up and down.
No, I'm with you. And I also think he's coming from a really bad, like I've been alive for 28 years. I've never seen Alabama struggle to run the ball as much as I did last year.
Oh, and then horrible.
And then receiver wise, like Bernard's a good player, but he's more of a 2-3 than he's like, I'm going to win this game type of one. So I do think situationally, like Pittsburgh's got some O-line work to do, but like, let's just say Brock Hoffman's your starting left guard. All right, fine. Like I think we can make that work. Question at left tackle. Okay. But 2 good receivers, a couple of interesting backs, a couple of interesting tight ends, offense. And I also think like couldn't you just see like Mike McCarthy squinting and seeing like a little bit of Dak Prescott and like Tyson, especially with like the combine weight at 215? Like that's 215 nowadays is almost like what 235, 240 used to be for quarterbacks. Could he attacks the middle of the field? Pre-injury Dak could move a little bit. I could just see where he like squints and sees it. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be. And if it's not Ty at 21, mark it down. Drew Aller will be one of the third round picks of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have 3 of them. He will be one of those 3. Interesting. And I also, last thought there, I think Ty can be a solid starter. He may not be an elite guy, but like, dude, when was the last time Pittsburgh had a quarterback above QB 20 in the league? It's Big Ben pre-injury. Like that's it's been since 2019. So QB 18 sounds good to me right about now.
All right, am I keeping this one or are we swapping
actually,
back?
Real quick, Dalton, I gotta give you more flowers. And I know we've broached over an hour. We've somehow we're gonna turn an NFL broadcast length of a 2-round.
This is what we do, you know.
But I got to give you flowers on this because I had you on for preseason receiver rankings, and then you and I were just kind of shooting the shit afterwards. And you were like, you know what quarterback I think breaks onto the scene this year, honestly? Like the surprise guy who could be the Jaden Daniels that comes out, the Joe Burrow comes out of nowhere. I think it's Ty Simpson. And you said that legitimately before the season even started. So I got to give you your flowers on that. So wanted to give the people the shout out. I had to give you that shout out there. So you were on Ty Simpson and that awareness before anybody else. So hats off. That's why we bring
appreciate it big time. Hey, tape is tape, you know. It's just you just try to dig through and those, you know me, we cover the college game and we try to cover all of it. But you know, it was just one of those things where I was like, you know what? Especially in Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb's offense, that'll probably work to some extent. That'll work. And, you know, I also think like, you know, coach's son, I could just see a world where like the Steelers buy into the person of that. And real quick, I'm going back and echoing earlier thoughts. Like you hear about Omar Cooper and who he was at Indiana. And like the fact he stayed at a bad program and then Cincinnati, you know, doesn't that maturity feel like night and day compared to like what's going on with Jordan Addison? Just I meant to say that earlier, but like that feels like an adult in the room that Minnesota's probably craving at this point. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Los Angeles Chargers. This could be like our Mezzador spot. Vidafe Owegon. That's kind of an interesting fit. And also like Khalil Mack. They're just going to kind of do the 1 year song and dance year in and year out, and we'll see how long that plays. Sadiq's interesting because of Daniel. The guy that I would think about here, and I know it's getting down there a little.
Oh, sorry, this is your pick, anyways. Even, sorry, my bad.
Okay, so I mean, there's a couple of names that come to me. I think I'm going to go with Mezzador, like you just said. But the guy that I'm high on, that I think you could start getting into this range. Think about it at least. Man, I love Emmanuel Pregnon. Man,
I'm a big Pregnon guy. Yeah, he's been my guard too since December. And I like Pasantis a lot too. I'm a big Pasantis fan, but yeah, Pregnon's a dude.
I think I could certainly think about Pregnon here, and actually Basantis would be a nice fit for this team too. I think they could live with either one of them, but they need guard. But I think they also need pass rush beyond Thule, and you've got Khalil Mack for one more year, and he's starting to slow down a little bit. I'm going to go Mezzador here and see what guard options fall to me at 55. I'm hopefully Basantis, or maybe I have to make a move. I don't know how many extra picks the Chargers have and things like that, but I like the value. I think Mezzador, even with the age, I think he should be. I think he should be a first-round pick. He's awesome. I mean, you talk about him and Bain. The name that needs to keep getting brought up is Jason Taylor. Unbelievably coached. Both they're actually the 2 most polished pass rushers in the draft by far. Even more so. Bailey's so explosive, and yes, he's got an arsenal and things. But the way that Bain and Mezzador go about their business, you can tell they were coached by somebody like Jason Taylor. And, watching Bain and then watching Mezzador's tape the same day, and a college football thought that I had, because they got Damon Wilson, the transfer in from Missouri. Right. Oh, he's going to be sick. We're going to be talking about, with Jason Taylor coaching. I'm telling you, right, we're going to be talking about Damon Wilson the same way next year. It's just, they're so well taught. It's so polished. The pass rush plan, the precision with the hand usage. I mean, just everything about it. I'm like, somebody in the NFL, make Jason Taylor your defensive line coach. Just you got to pay him all this money, because he's unreal. And what he's done with these 2 guys is just unbelievable when it comes to the polish in their game.
Yeah, it's like if you want to be a receiver, go find a way to get coached by Brian Hartline, and if you want to play defensive line, go find a way to get coached by Jason friggin' Taylor. Dude, it'll be the best money edge you make. Any
edge rusher in the portal every year, as long as he's there, should be begging to go to Miami. Just begging. And
Wilson makes all the sense in the world, because like the first step get off, the violence, the speed, all that is there. Now you're telling me he's going to go to this guy who's like the ultimate hand technician teacher, like chef's kiss. That's a moneymaker right there. One thought real quick here on the Chargers, especially if they don't go guard early, like Keelan Rutledge. Tell me that is not like the perfect marriage of Mike McDaniel and Jim Harbaugh like philosophies, pencil that guy in at 87. Like if they don't go guard first round, like Keelan Rutledge will find his way onto the LA Chargers. Philadelphia Eagles, man, with no safeties here, I'll be honest, this is tough. This is me stuck between a rock and a hard place.
And I think Mesidor would be an ideal pick for the Eagles, 100%. And I stole him from you. Yeah,
I
go Sadiq?
Yeah, like Sadiq is fun, like no doubt about it. And like I think about how they used Goddard in the red zone a ton last year. Sadiq, you could get crazy with that. Like you could have a lot of fun. And then also like the run game, like just, his inline. I think he's a good inline blocker. Like just lean the way there with Saquon. Like that sounds fun. Could this be the team that makes Falk work? I could see that. I could see where they go Cassius Howell, but I don't know. Jalix Hunt and some of the other guys they have, like I already feel like they have those DPR types. They're kind of looking more for like a heavy-handed power rusher. So like, do you go TJ Parker? He's got experience playing with his hand in the dirt and stand up. It's not like a sexy pick, but at 23, I think it's fine.
I have Parker ahead of both Howell and Falk. I just think are you going to get a superstar, lead the league in sacks guy? No, but I think TJ Parker is a really solid bet to be like a just consistent, like 10-year B2B plus player who gives you 8 to 10 sacks a year. He takes pride in his run defense. He's extremely violent. He's not. It just with TJ Parker, there just isn't one like standout tool that sticks out, but you get the same guy every single week. And I do think he would add at least some element of size and power to an edge room that without Jalen Phillips now is very, very small. It's the reason they traded for Jalen Phillips is because they're so small.
100%. And this is also the team that keeps bringing Brandon Graham out of retirement, right? Because they want a guy who can win with the bull rush, win with the long arm, and that is like TJ Parker through and through. I know you're not the world's biggest movie guy. You ever seen the movie Die Hard, though? Has like Die Hard?
Well, sure. And it is a Christmas movie, but yeah.
Yeah, 100% a Christmas movie. I've described, like, if Jared Verse is Die Hard, TJ Parker is Die Hard 2. It's like kind of a ripoff, but like not quite as good as the original. That's kind of like where I've settled on TJ Parker. He's just like the Die Hard 2 of Jared Verse.
Yeah, I could vibe with that. Okay. Yeah, that makes
leverage
sense
winner.
to me.
He's got experience standing up as a rusher. You're looking for that power element. Ebiketie is a DPR type. Jalix Hunt, I think, ideally, probably a little bit more of a DPR specialist. So I think, TJ Parker's kind of the balancing that room that it needs right now. And then we get to the Bucks. Damn, Sadiq fell to them here. This could be a good CJ Allen spot. But the floor is yours. What do you want to do here at 24?
I think I like my linebacker, the depth of my linebacker options better at 46, the next spot we're taking with the Bucks. I've been grappling with whether this guy would actually go first round just because of obviously the arm length. Mm-hmm. Cassius Howell, no matter how he does it, no matter how he's built, he gets pressure. He just generates pressure. And I like him better than, say, an R. Mason Thomas, because Howell, for as much as, yes, there's times I don't want to put him inside, like in the strong C gap and things like if he gets doubled, yes, you have a problem, no question about it. But I think he finds more answers in the run game as well than like an R. Mason Thomas does, who is more of like a true DPR to me. The measurables might not get him taken in the first round, but I like my linebacker. I mean, I like my linebacker and edge options at 46. So do I go Howell now and wait on a linebacker, or do I go with Allen now? And my big problem with Allen is going to be the Bucs' issue has been middle of field coverage. He doesn't help me with that. He's within his range, especially in the box. He is really good, but there are plays outside of his range, and the fact that he hasn't tested combine or pro day, I think, might actually confirm that with him. I'm not usually a believer in those conspiracies, but I think with him it might be a thing.
Yeah, I think for the Bucs, honestly, like Jake Golday is probably the guy, just because like Servatia Dennis has been such a headache in coverage. And now, granted, I could say the same thing about the Bears. Like either one of those second round picks, the Bears are probably like looking at Jake Golday, licking their chops. But the Bucs get to pick at 46. I think like Howell plus Golday, like that's building a front seven that like Todd Bowles can work with. So I think it just speaks to where this draft drops off after probably the top 10 or 12, where it's like, the talent's kind of all the same to me. Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of it's on the same level. Depends what you need. I'll take Cassius Howell here. I'll do it. We got the trade down. We got some extras. We got 46 coming. I'll go with that.
Yeah, and look, you got Vita Vea. Like, and I mean, not that one guy fixes all of your run defense issues, but like, if Cassius Howell gives you some shortcomings as a run defender, but you get the pass rush juice he brings to the table, I think with where Todd Bowles is at, that's a trade you're willing to make. And honestly, like I've had a hard time getting Howell in the first round, but a lot of mocks lately have had him going to Buffalo at 26. And like honestly, the more I think about that, I'm like, yeah, I'm on board with that. Like they already have guys that can play early down, Epineza and Rousseau, Bradley Chubb and Rousseau. Like those guys can do the early down stuff. Like if they let Cassius Howell loose, that would be fun. But like again, the Bucs, we've been talking about pass rush for 5 years now. Like just deal with the shortcomings against the run. Chicago Bears. This would have been a great safety spot.
I have been very often doing Caden McDonald here.
Yeah, I've been doing Caden a lot. A lot of Bears fans push back on that though, and I get it. It's a little bit more of a 4-man front versus like the nose tackle type. Which, to be completely honest with you here, I think the fit honestly would be Buffalo. Like Caden as like the DJ Jones for Jim Leonard. That would be chef's kiss to me.
Yeah, that's reasonable. So either of the next two. Yeah, probably if you don't do it here, I'm gonna.
And that's kind of where like I know Peter Woods is like not the, but like when I hear Bears fans say that, I think there is some truth to that, and I feel like Peter Woods is more the defensive tackle they're looking for than Caden McDonald. So while I still have Woods right now as ideal one, but I don't know, like the gap keeps getting thinner and thinner and thinner the more I watch everyone else.
I think the top five. I think the top 5 guys are very even as far as talent level. You talk about it's the role. It's what are you looking? If you want a 3 technique, take Woods. Go ahead. He's probably the best 3 technique in the class.
And then I'm also looking at their defensive. Like, could this team be the Keldrick Falk spot?
Falk. So I might have to do an article like this, like buyer beware at every position. Falk is the guy for me. I will say I am not taking Keldrick Falk round 1.
Right.
It's a lot of, especially as a pass rusher, it's a lot of the same issues I had with Mykel Williams and Shamar Stewart last year. I can't take a, in theory, pass rusher.
I'm with you. And that's where like it's always interesting to hear whose guy is that for each team. And like, yeah, I've had a little bit of buyer beware on Proctor, but like, yeah, to me, it's Caleb Banks. That's been my guy. So it's interesting to hear you say that. I'll go Peter Woods here because I just think a little bit more, that's more the 3 tech that they're kind of looking for that 4-man front versus the true nose tackle. So I'll give the Bears fans what they're looking for here. And also like, Peter Woods, as much as this year was a little bit of a disappointing, a step back for him. Look, you still got to look at this like a multi-year sample. And the fact is he was crazy as an 18-year-old. And even last year, like not this past season, but the season before that, we had him as a top 5, projected summer pick for a reason. And I can't forget that tape. So this is going to be a good football team. They're going to be one of the best teams in the NFC. They should keep him motivated all season long. I think that's our Andrew Billings replacement. I'll go Peter Woods.
Not trying to make too many excuses, but when it comes to Woods and Parker and sort of the lack of pass rush production this year, fun stat that I found a while back. I forget who it was that was brought this up. It might have been Marcus Whitman. I forget who it was, but Clemson. So offenses facing Clemson. Okay, Clemson faced the quickest average time to throw in the Power 4 and the 5th fastest in the country. And when you watch their tape, it's starting with LSU, that week 1 game when Nussmeier was getting it out in like 2 seconds flat. There were games where they didn't even have a chance because people were like, hey, 11-3 are a major problem and we can't let them take this game over. And it was a consistent thing all year. I'm not saying it shouldn't have been better on the whole for that Clemson defense, but just a quick thing when people, because if you click Peter Woods, it's going to be, he had 14 pressures this year.
Right.
He had no opportunity to do so. And he even said at the combine, he's like, yeah, I got doubled all year, man. It is what it is,
And that was the other thing. It's kind of like a similar situation because like NC State run a ton of 3-3-5, but like Aleem McNeil, like every pass rush snap I watched that dude coming out of NC State was like, he's double teamed. And that was a lot of that is still true for Peter Woods too. So I almost wonder just more one-on-ones playing on a D line with Montez Sweat. Like, could that free him up? So I'm with you there. Cool. Buffalo Bills. What do we want to do here at 26? Is this where we want Caden to move forward?
Well, it's that, or I'm just thinking about should I just trade down and get another run stopper later.
Totally.
I think this is a very good trade down candidate to me.
Yeah. Is this we have Ty off the board? Never mind. I was going to say the Cardinals coming up to get Ty, but we've already crossed that bridge.
Is somebody coming up for Sadiq?
Could it be the Chiefs? Another Chiefs Bills trade?
I don't. That trade, for as much as everyone freaked out about it, the Worthy one isn't working out quite as well as for the Chiefs as everyone was.
Yeah, it didn't really work out for either side because it's Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, both teams lost.
Is there a team? some of those teams in the early 30s, is there a team with like an offensive tackle need that could use a Blake Miller or a Caden Proctor?
Well, I was going to say, because the Cardinals, we took a right tackle. The Raiders coming up for Blake Miller, solidifying for their first overall pick.
Or a receiver, if they wanted
Denzel Boston.
Boston.
Yep. I could see that.
Slide it down to like the 30s in that early second round.
Dude, the Giants trade back in the first round another year. Like I could see a lot of these options. But here, I can do it down here too if this helps.
Let me just see it real quick. Is there some?
I mean, the Jets could trade up for Denzel Boston too. I don't hate that. Like, that's an in-division trade, but Chiefs for Boston? Could we do Chiefs for Boston? I guess that.
Chiefs. How many picks are the? Well, because we would just go down to 29.
And so it wouldn't be you wouldn't get a whole lot of capital, but like 29 and probably like 109. If I'm speculating here.
I don't hate that. Maybe that'll work. If that evens out, we could do that. Or if we had to throw
check. And plus, dude, I mean, the NFL, like, they're probably like, oh, yes, another Chiefs-Bills trade. Yes, please talk
trade
about
up again. I mean, because, Rashee Rice, we don't know what's going on there. Xavier Worthy not working the way they want to.
Get it done. It'd be a slight overpay for the Chiefs, but like, okay.
Let's do it. Let's go there with Boston, and I think I would probably then go McDonald at 29 and just get some extra capital for the Bills.
Yeah, I like that. Boom. So we get – dude, Denzel Boston's the big body X that we've been, like, begging the Chiefs to go get.
I think his game is just so similar to Jaden Higgins last year. I watch his tape and I see Jaden Higgins. It just felt like a carbon copy of Jaden Higgins. He's going to be solid. I think there is a minor step down from the top three guys. When I originally did my receiver rankings, I don't know, a month and a half ago, I had Boston 4 with like a pretty decent line from the top three, but it's a lot like Jaden Higgins last year. I'm like, yeah, he'll be solid, even if he's not like 1,500 yard crazy, like what he's a guy. I mean, you talk about one of the best man beaters in the class. You've got that with him, and the Chiefs don't have that.
And then for Buffalo, it's just outside the top 100. We won't deal with it today, but now at 29, you feel better about taking Pregnon there. You feel better about taking CJ Allen there. You feel better about taking Caden McDonald. So like whoever your guy is, you feel better about that pick at 29 versus 26, and you have another swing of the bat just outside the top 100. So I like that for Buffalo as well. So then, dude, the 49ers, this is tough because, like, I've been going Proctor here early and often, but now I'm staring Kenyon Sadiq in the face, and I'm like, can I pass this up?
I don't like Proctor to this team.
Interesting, really?
I don't think he can. I know Sadiq. The other guy the other name I would think about is Concepcion.
Concepcion's a perfect yards after the catch satellite Shanahan guy. But I almost wonder in this spot, do you go Sadiq? Because, like, as much as we said, you're not going to find another Travis Kelce replacement other than, like, Kenyon Sadiq. I feel like that's even more the case with Kittle because of the Sadiq blocking, ability. Like, this becomes even more of, like, a paramount replacement. And I wonder if it's ultimately like Cage Casey. Could, like, the 49ers just take Cage Casey, third, fourth rounds, play him at guard for a little bit, and then maybe he could become your left tackle in a post-Trent Williams world?
I think Tiernan, that could be the case too.
Caleb Tiernan's another guy.
I think early in his career, I think Tiernan could be a zone guard. Yeah. And then if they feel good about moving him back out, you could.
Yeah, I can see that totally. So everything you would say about, in theory, Proctor here at 27, I think there's other guys who that could be true too. So I'm gonna go Kenyon Sadiq, one, because I haven't done it yet, and two, like, you're not gonna find another lease on Kittle quite like Kenyon Sadiq. So I would go ahead and jump on that if I could. So then Texans here at 28. Yeah. Interesting options.
I think that the two here for me are Proctor or Pregnon.
Yeah.
But Proctor, you signed Braden Smith to a 2-year deal. Does that matter really? And he's had some injuries lately. And do you just play Proctor? Because this is the system more so, say, than San Fran, with Nick Caley and all the duo that he's running, just getting straight downhill.
I hear you.
Where I go, well, Proctor might just be such an imposing presence.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you want him to play tackle eventually, if you get rid of Smith and Trent Brown's only on a 1-year extension,
right,
he can do that. To me, the question is as simple as this. Can he keep his weight down? He's weighed in at 352. If I could ever get Caden Proctor down in 340 or less, I'm leaving him at tackle, right?
Yeah.
If he's going to play at 350 plus, I might just say he's a guard. And I know Trevor's thrown out like the Carl Nix-ish kind of idea with that from back in the day. So, and do I like Pregnon a lot, man. Dang it.
And dude, Pregnon's not a small dude either. Like, and he was great in the zone blocking concept. I mean, 93.0 zone grade. That doesn't fall off trees. But like, he's a big dude, and I think he's listed 318. But I think at the combine, dude, I think he was either right at that or just a smidge under it. And I was kind of thinking, he might be a little bit closer to like 300. But here, let me pull it up.
And I do love the way that he just punches. His hands just snap right out of his stance. It's just awesome. I'm high on Pregnon, man.
314 and then 97th percentile in the vertical, 92nd percentile in the broad. I mean,
I feel like if we don't take Proctor here, though, he's going to get into the second round.
Probably. Wait, I don't think that's impossible, dude. I'll be completely honest with you. Because I think there's a little bit of what you were just talking about, like what's the weight, what's the position, and I'm with you. I think 352, like even just watching him at the combine, it's kind of like Anthony Belton last year at the Senior Bowl, where like listed at 370 something, came to the Senior Bowl and he was 350 something. It's like the feet look better already. So like but Belton played guard last year for Green Bay. So like, what do you do with that? So
give me Pregnon here. I got to find someone to play left guard for this team, and I'm just if I'm more sure of it. That he can just plug and play and get in there. And I think he's strong enough anyway. I think he could get a little stronger, but the technique is solid. The athleticism is probably B to B plus. He's not the athlete, say, that maybe Afano is, but I like Pregnon a lot, man. I think he's just a solid football player. I really do.
And you don't want to do this too often, but I do want to. That's a really good roster, dude. That's a good football team. I'm assuming CJ Stroud's going to figure it out. And as much as you might have a higher upside with Proctor, I wonder if, and again, you got to be careful doing this because layups aren't always layups in the draft, but I wonder if they would look at, like, I know what Pregnon is. He is a guard. I know exactly where he fits into this. I'll take that assuredness versus, like, the mystery box of Proctor.
Agreed.
So, Buffalo Bills. Dude, CJ Allen would be a good add to this team just because I do think they need, and, like, Jim Leonard coming over, could, like, CJ Allen be their Dre Greenlaw? Maybe.
This is easy for me. I think we go back to our original thought. With Pregnon off the board, I would go Caden here.
And that was the other thing too. Pregnon would be, as much as I like kind of sold you that pick, losing David Edwards, that would have been a great landing spot for Pregnon. But I'm going to go Cade McDonald. I do think also Tyleik Williams. I liked him in the first round, but I like McDonald more than Tyleik. So I've been kind of forcing myself to get McDonald in as many first rounds as I possibly can. But this is the DJ Jones, the nose tackle the Bills don't really have on their roster right now. And I also think there's a world where, like, in 2 years' time, you know, nickel being the new base, like, we're going to get into a 3rd and 10, and I wouldn't be shocked to see Cade McDonald's done enough to develop a pass rush plan, play next to Ed Oliver. So I'll go with Cade McDonald there at 29, and you get an extra just outside the top 100 selection to kind of, as much as it's not fun to draft a linebacker who plays the run or a nose tackle in the first round, you know, get an extra draft pick makes it a little bit of an easier pill to swallow.
I also think it's unfair to say McDonald can't play in even fronts. I mean, they did it so much at Ohio State. And this year they messed around a little more with Reese off the edge, but like he can, one way or the other, Cade McDonald owns the A-gaps. And sometimes you just need that guy.
Yeah. He resets opposing offensive lines more than really any defensive line should. So, like, just given where the Bills have been beat up, like, think about a couple of the games last year where, like, they were getting gashed up the middle on the ground, where they had, like, that random 3-game losing streak right in the middle of the season. Like, this is the guy who's kind of the cure-all for that. All right.
Miami. You took Fano first?
I took Fano at 11, and then we were kind of thinking, you know, like, maybe we go corner a little bit later on, but ultimately, your world.
Corner.
You do have Casey Concepcion here too. Like,
honestly, this team to me right now is the worst roster in football.
Yeah,
I could take anything.
Yeah,
I could. I could take anything.
Totally.
Except running back. Maybe that's about it.
Yeah, that'd be the one spot.
Fano's already there. There was a name. Scroll down a couple more. There was a name I thought about here. Concepcion's a thought. I like Kristen Miller. I do like Kristen Miller. Zion Young could be a thought. I mean, this was one of the worst pass rush teams in the league last year, too.
And I've also heard they're trying to go more 4-man front. So, like, I could see a world where Chop Robinson could be someone they move off of by the deadline. Like, it's a bad roster, but, like, if they're tanking for Arch, you know, you might as well move on from Chop anyways.
All right. So I think it's Zion Young, Casey, because I like where I could go to corner even at 43.
I agree. Like, Brandon Ceesa's probably there for us at 43. Like, let's be completely honest. Like, Brandon Ceesa probably makes it to us there.
Boy, this team has so many needs. Man. Are we going receiver at some point here? Should we just go with KC and say we got something?
Dude, I feel like KC, just to give Malik Willis a shot. Just to give him a shot. Like,
yeah, let's do that, because D-line and corner, I'm gonna have options. I think there's a drop-off now to the next set of receivers after KC.
Yeah,
let's see that.
I agree. All right, dude, I love where New England's positioned themselves. I would love to give this team Denzel Boston, but I think the Romeo Doubs signing, that's the sacrificial X I was wanting this team to have, and that frees Kyle Williams up to be a true Z. I love that. And then they got Elijah Vera Tucker. I felt like, Jared Wilson was miscast as a guard. I saw him only as a center coming to Georgia, so boom, they kind of alleviated that. So I'm kind of looking at, I don't know if Morgan Moses is going to be long for this team, so could you go Maxi Iheanacho, sit him for a year? Eventually, it's his show at right tackle. You could just draft Blake Miller, more of an NFL-ready guy. But as much as he's improved his play strength, I don't know if he's quite like the gap, Josh McDaniels fit, though. So that Iheanacho maybe a little bit more of that guy. But he's still developing his body, too.
None of them have to start right away, though. You're talking about a guy who a year from now will be Morgan Moses' replacement here. So. And
then my other thinking is, Carlton Davis misses a lot of time, and behind him and Gonzo, it's pretty thin at outside corner. But also 63, I feel like we might have a shot at someone at 63.
There'll be somebody there. Igbinosun would be a good option for them in their defense. If they like bigger corners like Gonzalez and
or you do it even later. And I'm also a big Julian Neal guy, so Moore or Neal late second, I'd be personally fine with. But it could also be round 3. It could be 4th round. We don't have to do it right here. So yeah, no, I'm with you. And I'm also, dude, Blake Miller's a good football player. I'm gonna go Blake Miller here. I've been kind of on him as a first rounder for a few years now, kind of the same route that Trev kind of got to it. But this year, I felt like the play strength finally got there. So I think he's worthy of that first round pick.
Just a solid player. Yeah.
So let me float you something here for the Seahawks, because we do have some corners available. And I do feel like this is Colton Hood would make a lot of sense here. But something I've been doing with some of my mocks recently, and I want to get your thoughts on this. When you compare the body types of Tank Lawrence and Keldrick Falk, and the other thing is too, I don't know if Falk gets out of the first round because he is still a good athlete, but it's pretty similar. And I think about how Tank Lawrence, his impact as a run defender for that D line, letting them live in nickel, Tank Lawrence is a big part of that. So lately, I've been doing a lot of Keldrick Falk to the Seahawks, and it seems like they're one of the few fan bases that's kind of cool with that. So most teams I give Falk to, they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" But Seattle, they seem to be okay with it. But your thoughts there on a year out, kind of future proofing that Tank Lawrence spot, and then ultimately, what do you want to do here at 32?
If I was going to go that route, I'd rather take Zion Young.
Nah, it's also a fun one to do it with.
Falk.
A little bit more first step juice too.
Falk is the buyer beware for me. I like the development we've seen from Zion Young over the past year as a pass rusher. He's heavy-handed. He won't lead the league in sacks. To me, Young he's smaller. He's not as toolsy, but he wins a lot of the same ways that Greg Rousseau wins in Buffalo.
Sure, right.
Where it's okay, he's not going to lead the league in sacks, but he was our highest graded run defender among all edges this year, and he just sets the edge so hard, and he's such a violent presence that I'm going to go. Well, let's do it. Let's go edge rusher, but give me Zion Young instead of Keldrick.
Dude, I like that one because Zion Young, when people ask me who's the surprise first rounder this year, one, it's kind of because of our earlier conversation, I don't know, you get to pick 20 and boards just kind of shoot out into a ton of different directions. But Zion Young is one of those names where to your normal draft fans, you're people who are just a little bit outside the circle. They might be oh, really? That's a weird name. But don't be surprised if Zion Young, Christian Miller's another one of those guys.
I think he and TJ Parker also, I think, similar skill sets. And I think if a team were to prefer Young over Parker a spot or two, I would get it. I would understand. They win in similar ways as well.
Yeah, another team like Chicago, we could have easily done Zion Young there. There's something about the Bears and Zion Young that feels like a perfect match, hand and glove fit. So, all right, I'm going to try not to screw it up here too hard with the Jets. Linebacker and safety. Okay, interesting path where we've gone so far. So to kind of go on what we talked about earlier, you're telling me we could have, and I know we're really thinking about Reese as an edge rusher, but CJ Allen, Demario Davis, Arvell Reese, to have that type of energy in the middle of the defense, that's kind of awesome to me. But I also, I wonder, I don't know, with Tavondre Sweat, I don't know if they need Caleb Banks. Corners,
we've taken the receivers that would be before the drop off. We got 6 first receivers, didn't we? Wow.
Yeah, we did. I go receiver heavy in mocks, that's for sure. And at 44, I think there's a shot we have Brazel. I'm also I like Ted Hurst, so I think we could find that X a little bit later on. But also could Adonai Mitchell just play a little X for you, and then it's just but
he should. That's what he should be, right? Is KC? KC would have been KC would have been a nice fit here, but I'm going to wait till 44. Let's take a look at the corner.
44. Like that would be a fine.
Let's look at corners.
Corners. Hood is like the guy. When I think about what Aaron Glenn wants to do on defense, like Colton Hood, him and Azari Thomas, like mugging dude.
I actually just realized, even though it's the Jets, it's an odd numbered pick. But so I'm like,
I'm looking for your.
You really get the final say on this one. But I would think about corner, and the way that it feels like Aaron Glenn is going with calling plays now. Take your best fit. Who do you think is the best man-to-man corner? Because that feels like the way he's going.
I feel like that's Hood. I mean, I also like Chris Johnson, and part of me just because he's a damn good football player. I kind of want this to be D'Angelo Pons.
If you got the Jets, Thiedemann, and Pons, I'll throw the confetti right now. I'll throw the confetti right off my 5th floor balcony right now. I'll just do it, and then nobody will know why, and it'll be because of those two guys. I mean, I love Pons. It's just a matter of if you're going man heavy, is that a thing? Because Indiana ran more zone coverage than like anybody. So
and then also,
it's just that
I've heard they like Jarvis Brownlee. So like. I don't know if you really need the nickel impact. So I'll go Colton Hood here. And like in a year's time, we might be talking about him and Azaria Thomas just punching receivers at the line of scrimmage. And like that, like if Aaron Glenn's going to keep that job, like those two guys, they feel like his types.
All right.
Cardinals.
I'm actually, for as much as I have mentioned a couple of times that I'm kind of not fully sold on it, this team needs linebackers so bad that I'm going to take CJ Allen. It's like the thinnest position on their whole team. Akeem Davis Gaither's gone. They've got Cody Simon, who I would like in more of a backup role. Like CJ Allen to just start your reset at linebacker. I think if he got here to the Cardinals, I think that's a good pick. I'm in on that.
Yeah, totally. And like specifically the run defense component of this, you get Walter Nolan hopefully back and healthy. Like CJ Allen, if you ever heard the phrase, like when you're a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. Like CJ Allen is that as a linebacker through and through. Tennessee Titans. Dude, I will be honest, this team's interior offensive line, the more I look at it on our lads, the more I almost have to throw up. I'd hate, because there's a lot of teams who could use Basantis here, but like, or do you just go Proctor? Because the other thing, too, is Latham a guard? Because that might be our fix here. Do you go Iheanacho at right tackle, move Latham into guard?
You mentioned Proctor. Having Proctor and Latham on the same line would just objectively be hilarious.
And as much as like I would love to move on from Dan Moore and take Caleb Lomu here, like they're still paying him money. I don't know if they're going to do that.
There's also the part that makes me wonder. We'll see how early, if and when, because Salah's going to be itching to take a pass rusher. And I'll tell you right now, knowing how he drafted in with the Jets, Robert Saleh is going to love R. Mason Thomas.
Dude, R. Mason or Malachi Lawrence.
More than I would.
Yeah.
He's those wide nine.
Yeah.
Bryce Huff type of guys there, and this could be a good trade down spot for Tennessee as well. But I would bet money he loves R. Mason Thomas if he's going that route. But you're right. This interior, this offensive line,
it's an eyesore.
They need some work.
Do you think he would like Thomas more than Lawrence? Because I almost wonder if he would look at Malachi Lawrence in the same way. Like, that's my Will McDonald. I'm going to go put that dude wide nine, island, let him be a dog.
You could argue it. Lawrence, for me, I think people are out on their skis a little bit. I still think he's a second-round guy as opposed to like a top 25 guy. He's just raw. I think Thomas is just one of those guys who makes a beeline to the quarterback, right?
Yeah. Lawrence Thomas. Let's do it. I think. Sorry.
Something about that to me fits this Salah blueprint I have in my head. That's really 4 years of trauma is what that is.
I was going to say, like, you would know better than just about anybody. So, like, no, totally get it. Or even, like, when he was in San Francisco the first time, right? Like, draft Drake Jackson in the second round. Like, they wanted him to be that guy coming out of USC. So, it's also been a while since I've had R. Mason go, like, this high. So, like, frankly, for just some fluctuation on where these guys are going, I kind of like going R. Mason there. Raiders at 36. Whew. What do you want to do here with Vegas?
Boy, I'll tell you what, Lomu's still on the board.
Yeah. Could you move him? Connor Rogers did an interview with him, and apparently he's training at left and right tackle. So I think that's an option.
I think the athleticism, we have to remember who's calling plays now in Vegas. That's Clint Kubiak. When you talk about athleticism, there's two guys here. If they want to upgrade at right tackle. Now, I think there's a Chase Basantis case here.
Yep.
Sure, they could upgrade a guard spot. Anything I think there's a Kristen Miller case if you want to upgrade their interior defensive line. I think trenches are the way I'm going here.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going right tackle, I think Lomu's an option. I think Ionicher is an option. I want an athlete.
Yeah, I almost wonder, dude, Lomu, part of the thing, I like him a lot, but I feel like his outside hand and his outside shoulder really isn't great. So the move to right tackle it's not like he has an awesome outside shoulder and he locks it down. So you have to keep him at left tackle. I don't really see anything that locks him into that spot. So I kind of like the Lomu idea there. And you still could play DJ Glaze if you feel like Lomu needs a year to get 10 pounds of muscle on.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go Lomu, because I didn't think we'd get him this far down.
Yeah.
And I think to have Colton Miller, to have Linderbaum, who's expensive as he may be, a perfect fit for the offense. And then Lomu, who not this past year before Jason Beck got there, but the last couple of years before that, that's all they ran at Utah was all that outside zone. So I'm kind of in on that. I think it fell really nicely there for the Raiders, and we can still work again deeper defensive draft. Work on it later. Fine.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say, like, Christian Miller to be your Christian Wilkins that never was, like, that's also awesome. And then really, like, Lomu or Iheanacho, I like them both, but like Lomu, I'd rather see him flip to the other side and just see where that goes versus like Iheanacho, there's still some inherent risk there. You're talking about a guy that's been playing for 4 years, still building his body as well. You know, I could just see where I might be a little bit more in on the risk with Lomu. Giants, we went Sonny Styles. Oh, man.
Corner?
Yeah, corner or like receiver. And like what my struggle there is like, it's a guy coming off an injury, or you go Jeremy Bernard. You have a superstar in Neighbors. And I've been kind of describing Jeremy Bernard as like Juju Smith-Schuster, that couple years in Pittsburgh where like AB was on top of the world. And like Juju just did all the little things right. He was like the perfect complement.
Yeah.
And I kind of look at Bernard as like he's that awesome number two that just fills in the gaps.
Matt Nagy might want a guy like that. But is he going ahead of some of those corners you have available? Because this team could use a Deontay Banks replacement. And Cordell Flott, actually, who left also.
And Flott. Which they got Drew Phillips to play the slot. So I'm cool with that.
Who's running their defense?
I looked this up the other day. Hold on.
I can't think of it off the top of my head right now.
Is it Denard, former Tennessee DC?
Denard Wilson?
Yeah, Denard Wilson. There we go. I always want to make Denard his last name. Yeah, Denard Wilson. Yeah, hold on. Who's their cornerback room right now? Yeah, you mentioned Banks. That's been
Banks, Adebo, Phillips. You're looking. I like Phillips. Oh, and they signed Greg Newsome too.
Damn. They bring in Mooney and then Darius Slayton. So really the receiver they need is not really Bernard. It's almost like, could we get Elijah Surratt in the third round? Could we get Malachi Fields or something like that?
Unless you want to get real vertical and go with Brazel or Bell and just lean into Dart as the vertical passer.
Yeah, I wonder, is Nagy going to tap into that? Like with all those RPOs? Like, I don't know. I feel it's like a wasted skill set maybe.
That has a Jeremy Bernard, Skylar Bell feel to it.
It does. Skylar Bell. Now, hold on. Now you say Skylar Bell. Like, this would be as early as I've had him go, but
I don't think he's going this early.
I don't think he goes over Brazel, Bell, and Bernard, specifically Bernard. Bernard's floor just screams like an offensive-minded head coach someone is going to be pounding on the table for that dude. The other thing is, like, you could go Basantis here. Like, Aaron Stinney at right guard is not inspiring confidence. So, like, it's eating your vegetables, linebacker and guard, but
that's actually a good call.
And then John Runyon's played left guard. That's, if you watch the Hard Knock series, that's part of the. They're like, oh, he played both spots. That's our guy. Let's do it. Let's go chase Basantis.
I could be in on that. Yeah.
Let's go Basantis there. It's not sexy, linebacker and guard, but first year for John Harbaugh, it kind of makes sense. That's the places he starts.
All right.
Texans. I mean, not to make the pick for you, but dude, Christian Miller, come on. Tell me that wouldn't be awesome.
It would be awesome. I think any of those three guys. I think any of them. There's different routes about this you could go with. Lee Hunter's got this weird playmaker bit to him that he's so heavy, but he likes to penetrate that D'Amico Ryans might just vibe with it. Kristen Miller, immediately run defense between the tackles is better. And I don't think Kristen Miller is just a nose guard either. I think he's got more versatility. He's got more versatility than people give him credit for. Or is this a team that takes the potential swing and you just go, you know what? Let's let it rip with Caleb Banks.
And dude, the violence Banks, and again, like Banks has been, like, to your point with Falk, that's been Banks this entire cycle where, like, I get it, the flashes are sick, but like, to me, the 90% to me doesn't outweigh that 10%. But like D'Amico Ryans, seeing the violence, that pop in his hands, I could see where he's like, that's too good to pass on. I need that guy.
I'm going to let my rankings decide it.
Let's
Who
do
did
it.
I have 3? Oh, I went Hunter 3, Miller 4, Banks 5.
Who's your IDL 2? Caden? Okay. Mine's Woods, Hunter. Oh, shoot. Let me just pull it up. Is Caden my 3? Now that you mentioned, I think Caden might be my 3. Caden's my 3, Banks, and then I got Holton at 5, honestly. I like Christian Miller a lot, but and honestly, with the broken foot, I might flip Banks and Miller, kind of where they're at, but
I'm gonna trust what my sheet tells me there from our rankings. If you give me Lee Hunter.
Let's do it.
I love it. Lee Hunter, Tommy Togiai, Sheldon Rankins. Let's have some fun.
There were a couple games for Houston where they got kind of gashed up the middle. So like Lee Hunter plus Togiai, like that goes a long way. I like that a ton. And then we'll get there, but like one of these linebackers, like I didn't think Anthony Hill had a great year, but like that's another team where like you give D'Amico Ryan to Anthony Hill, I'm all in to see where that goes. Browns, this would have been a good Pregnon spot. I know they got Tevin Jenkins back for a little 2-year deal, but like often injured. And frankly, you could still go Caden Proctor or Ian Achor.
I think at this point with those first 2 locked in, I do not think you are like.
You know who I'm going to go with?
I think it's a BPA or like more of a general what you want sort of thing here.
I'll tell you who I'm going to go with. Just one of the best pure football players in this class. They can get a lot better in the nickel. D'Angelo Pons. I'm going to play him in the slot. His tackling. I know Schwartz isn't there, but like the energy and tenacity they play with, D'Angelo Pons is a fit.
And I know there's a ton of talk about Pons playing in the nickel and all that. And I know he's smaller, and I get it. Like he's outlier small. I could trust him outside. I think he's as technically sound as any corner in this class.
If there's a guy in this class that could be the next Darius Williams, I'm 100% confident it's D'Angelo Pons. Like who could be the next like sub 5'10" guy? It's Pons. I'm not even worried about it.
If the Browns do get tackle and receiver in round 1, I think the rest of their draft is actually just draft good players.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. All right, back to the Chiefs. What have we done so far? We've gone David Bailey and Denzel Boston. I mean, sheesh. Okay.
I think this secondary offensive line might be nice too.
Ooh, yeah, Ian Achor here, drafted a year ahead of Dylan Moore.
Have they officially cut Jawan Taylor yet?
I think so. Let me see.
I think they're gonna. Maybe it's a June 1 thing. Oh, Ionichor makes sense. Is Ionichor going ahead? We're not getting Proctor here either. Because Proctor,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it apparently hasn't happened yet, but it's a post June 1 move. They'll save $20 million. But you could go Ian Achor and just play Jalen Moore for a year. You could do the same thing with Caden though too. Like if you felt like you needed to develop him at right tackle and you felt like he's the better fit for that,
or if Caden played guard and we just stack it left guard too. Let me get Caden Proctor because I still think he's going to go ahead of Ionichor. Secondary is definitely a thought there. I could have taken a corner, but I'm gonna keep ripping on the offensive line. You mentioned it. There's 2 spots on that line I don't trust right now.
And honestly, like maybe Kingsley Suamataia got a little bit better at guard. Maybe he eventually could be your right. Like I think there's some options there. So like just getting a good offensive lineman, we'll figure out the 5 later. So Cincinnati Bengals, this has ironically been like where I put Lee Hunter more often than not, but I think this is just where I'm going to put Christian Miller instead. This team just needs to get better on the inside. And I know they brought in Jonathan Allen, but at this point we're a couple years removed from like the best of Jonathan Allen, so I'm not really banking on that. So I'll go Christian Miller. And the one thing I'll say, the sentiment here in Cincinnati from people I talked to is that the Bengals and the way they draft, they love their tools, right? Like Shamar last year, they've done this in the past. I mean, there's people here that think, well, Caleb Banks might be in play at 10, just because the Bengals are. They're a toolsy drafting team. That's like true. Miller. I think Miller's a great pick. I do. I absolutely. That's the route I would go. I'm with you. They just got to. But you know what? We're trying to be predictive, and we have this nice undo pick feature that I never get to use. That's a new one. I just the sentiment here in Cincinnati is like, oh, Caleb Banks is their type. Yeah, 100%. We'll see if they got him in round 2. Oof. And if that's all the reason why I'd be like, I'd go Christian Miller here because he's not the type that they've been going with, but you're 100% right. And now granted, like if he can start playing with better pad level and like, this is a huge if statement, but if the big guy can stop having foot injuries, I mean, you might look at pick 41 as like one of the biggest steals, maybe the biggest steal of the draft. So the
the high end reps are the best in the class.
100%.
There's not enough of them.
Exactly.
Saints.
Good have Miller go here, frankly.
I kind of swindled you. I think I'm going Kristen Miller.
No, yeah, I'm just.
I think I didn't mean to. And then I realized. I was like, I want Kristen Miller. Yeah, I'm like they struggled to stop the run on the inside. The Brian Brzee pick just kind of didn't work. They need help between the tackles, and Kristen Miller to me, I think he's one of the safer players in this draft. I think you know exactly what you're getting out of him. He's going to be one of those guys who doesn't pop with the box score stats, but when you do certain things like when Miller's on the field and when he's off, it's gonna be like a 1.5 yard difference in yards per carry. I'm in on Kristen Miller. Kristen Miller for the Saints would be a nice pick. That would make their defense a lot better.
Yeah, I love Christian Miller there. The only other guy I've been mocking there frequently, if it's not Miller, it's been like Chris Bell, and it's because I did something other than receiver at 8. And Chris Bell was reuniting with Tyler Shaw. No, it's kind of lazy, but no, I love Miller there to complement Brzee / just replace Brzee. Dolphins, easy one. I'm going to go Brandon Cisse here. Spencer Fano, Casey Concepcion. Now we got a talented corner who can go get guys to the line of scrimmage. Hafley, the thing with Hafley is it's weird because like Green Bay just hasn't addressed corner the last 2 years, but again, may not be because of him. But sometimes I look at coaches like that and I feel like, now fair or not, sometimes I feel like their coaching is what elevates the players more so than, or like the scheme elevates it more than like the players. So I'd be curious if we get through the first 50 picks of this draft and the Dolphins haven't gone corner, I think that's going to tell you a lot about like what Jeff Hafley, like how he feels about drafting that position in general. So that being said, I think they need to get an infusion of talent, and Brandon Cisse is a talented dude, so I'll go with him at 43.
All right. Oh, I'm back with the Jets. All right, I get to make one more. So we've gone
Reese
linebacker, safety corner.
Brother, that's awesome.
Wow. Do we just keep going defense? I mean, the popular thing to do is probably just take a receiver.
Jeremy Furt feels like,
I don't want to force it, though, but like I've basically overhauled this entire defense. Unless I just go linebacker, I go check.
Unless you did Chris Bell and got your ex receiver that way. Like, not looking to win games right away, are you?
I'm not that comfortable with Chris Bell.
Okay, I like Chris Bell. I understand. There's work to be done, though. There's definitely work to be done.
There's work to be done. I think he's kind of stiff. Where do I have? Let me see my wide receiver board.
I think he tracks the football well, but like especially on like dagger routes, I think you see a little bit of that.
I do like Surratt. I still wonder if Surratt would go in this range, or if the lack of speed is a problem.
And at that point, would you just take Bernard 4.48?
The one thing we don't know is how committed they are to A.D. Mitchell, if at all.
Yeah. Was that just a throw into the deal, or do you actually really like the player? It's
yeah. I think at the time it wasn't a throw in, and also when Brady Cook's throwing to him, what are we going to learn about him, right? So I mean. Let me go with Bernard. I think Frank Reich. I think he's going to try to work to all levels with this team. I get the idea behind maybe trying to get a deep threat too with Geno in there and with Geno Smith. Assuming you're trying to win games, you're trying to throw the ball deep downfield. But let's go Bernard to mix it up here. And I actually have a feeling that's another pick I might have just stolen from you here with Baltimore because Jeremy Bernard wouldn't. That would work.
Actually, he didn't because Bernard. Like as much as I've been saying, like the Juju thing, he's also like shades of Rashad Bateman. So I don't like he's a little bit more filled out than Bateman. So I don't know if they'd go there. But to that point, I think you could play Bernard at X. Like if the Jets really needed to and like wanted to make him a sacrificial, I think you could just to get Wilson off the line of scrimmage. But what were you saying? Sorry.
No, I figure receiver might be a heavy target for you here, though. That might be on the board. Like this.
No, I got something for you.
They could. Oh, you've got. Oh, we're going. He's still scrolling. Oh boy. Oh, you're going tight. Oh, you're going tight end, aren't you?
Who's the perfect Isaiah Likely replacement?
Yeah, there he is.
If you're not doing Sadiq at 14, Eli Stowers at 45, you don't have to play him on the line of scrimmage. You could let him play a slot receiver for you if you really wanted to. Yeah. Now, granted, I would like an X receiver in a perfect world, and like you could probably still get one later. But I think there's just a ton of different stuff they could do with Stowers specifically. Yeah. So, and I kind of have a hard time finding him a home, but after his combine, he's probably going top 50. Like
there's a ton of potential. If he can keep the athleticism with another 10 to 15 pounds on him, he'd be sick. As a receiver, it's nasty. I have Max Clare ahead of him in the tight end rankings because Claire's a better blocker. But I mean, Stowers, listen, the last 3 years, and we got to remember too, he hasn't even played the position for 3 whole seasons.
Right.
He's so young in his development that if he could ever get to 250 and still move the way that he moves and jump the way he does,
Totally.
Yeah, there's a bit of a project factor, but the Ravens are as good at that with tight ends as anybody.
Yeah, and he's my tight end. I could put him 5 or 6. Him and Michael Trigg, it's kind of the same thing where, like, you're not really getting a blocking tight end there. You're just getting, like, an awesome receiver. But I like Claire, I like Roush. I even like Justin Jolie a good bit, too. So, no, it's an interesting tight end class. But it's all down to fit. And, like, whether, like, if Stowers went to the Bucs, I wouldn't be as jazzed about it. But if he went to the Ravens, I'd be like, oh, my God. They did it again.
All right, let's see. I pull up the linebackers. I think it's going to be one of 2 guys.
Golday or Rodriguez. I mean, Rodriguez, that's a home run.
Yeah, I'm going with it.
It's J-Rod.
He's just, I mean, you could argue, I know we've talked about Bain and Bailey and different, you could easily argue Rodriguez was the best defensive player in college football last year. I mean, you need a new leader in your defense, and you need a guy who flies the football, and the instincts are off the charts. I mean, this would be a terrific pick for the Bucs at 46, and it would have been a terrific pick at 47 here as well if you'd gotten him. But you might go that direction anyway. I guess this Colts big thing for me on the Colts. I know they signed Alec Pierce and Daniel Jones. They better get this draft right.
Yeah,
because there's some real holes on their team.
Totally.
And I feel good about the Jets holding their first-round pick right now. I'm not going to.
That's
next year. I feel pretty good about it.
100%. Yeah, and I definitely am thinking linebacker here. But dude, like, not to give you like a content idea, but like if you guys had at the end of the college football season a mock draft that was like college football storylines, who were the biggest stories? Like I think the draft plays out as Mendoza at 1, Bain at 2, Cardinals take Jacob Rodriguez at 3. Like I think he was probably the third biggest like takeaway storyline of the college football season. So I don't know, content idea there.
All right. Yeah. You know what?
That's how good of a season he had. So the fact that he's getting top 50 love, I'm here for it.
It probably works better like right after the season ends.
Exactly.
But you know what? Might, especially going into that 27 draft, we might have to do that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. The story
as if there aren't enough stories. Oh, there's only a Manning to start with. Yeah, that's all.
Right. Exactly. and we already have like 3 teams positioning themselves to suck. Like the Dolphins and the Cardinals are all in on Arch. Like they're doing everything they can to get the number 1 overall pick. Yeah. I'm not sure Cleveland's terribly far behind. Dude, the Colts, this is like, I feel like this team, if Jeremy Bernard made it there, they would probably pounce on that. Yeah. I feel like they're going to get Pierce more of the Pittman workload. They still need another receiver because then it's like Ashton Doolin and Josh Downs. So like, but
their front seven is such a major issue.
And I'm assuming they're projecting JTT to be Kwity Paye replacement. So this is a team that, especially after the Zaire Franklin trade, I do think Trotter's a guy that makes sense. Just a team that kind of, like I said about CJ Allen earlier, like you need a hammer that sees everything as a nail. But I don't know. You could also go Golday because they could just use a shot of like athleticism in the middle of that. Akeem Davis-Gaither, obviously a guy familiar with that scheme. Arden Key, JTT, Michael Clemens, Leatu Latu. Oof. Also, you could cut Grover Stewart. I know I've said this a lot. You could cut Grover Stewart and save like $10 million against the cap. So it's probably a little early for Grayson, as much as I love him. And then we still have Keldrick Falk just sitting here. So
it's just hard
tackle for them team. This team also. Oh, Jalen Travis. I'm interested to see where that goes. Jalen Travis.
Yeah, I think they're going to let it ride with him.
Man, I feel like I kind of have to go with one of those linebackers, to be honest. So I think I'm going to go Josiah Trotter. They got rid of a tackling machine. I think Trotter could be that Zaire Franklin replacement. I'll go Trotter here, 47.
Atlanta.
Not to sway you, but this has been Chris Brazel and Ted Hurst a lot for me. They did hire Georgia State's wide receiver coach, evidently. So, but without Darnell Mooney, I think they need a speed threat, but they also need an X. So that's just kind of been my thinking with those 2 guys.
Yeah, I'm between. I like Brazel still better than Hurst. I think Hurst I'm more comfortable with a little later. I don't think he's a second-round guy for me.
That's fine. Dude, Chris Johnson, for that scheme.
I'm between probably Brazel. Oh, safety could be a thing too. Oh, no, sorry. I was still thinking about Indianapolis. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I got on the wrong thing. I think here
moving off of Bates probably.
Though. I think my 2 guys here. It's either Brazel or it's Jake Golday.
Oh, Golday, good shout too. Yeah, I probably need to start sprinkling that in there a little bit more.
Caden Ellis left. Divine Diablo had a good first half of the year, but it was kind of an outlier considering the rest of his career. Christian Harris has got injury problems. Troy Anderson, I just can't start him.
Yeah, and then JD Bertrand is. I think
I'm as much as they need another receiver. I think you could get one the next round or two anyway. I think a Ted Hurst could be there for him in round 3. I'm going to go. Give me Jake Golday here for Atlanta.
Also, you got Golday before. Like, you have this run of teams that like all right here in the 50s, from Jacksonville, Chicago. Like, I could see the 49ers jumping on it. I could see the Houston Texans jumping on it. You get the Bears again. There's a lot of teams that you basically just got out in front of and took Golday away from them too. So I think even right here in Minnesota. I think he could. Yeah, so especially his ability and especially the ability and coverage that he's got. Yeah. That being said, man, there's a couple guys here that would be a lot of fun. Like Chris Johnson would be sick from like an outside corner perspective. Trayton Stukes feels like Brian Flores. Like, I'm just gonna create chaos in the world. Let's go have some fun. So like, part of me kind of wants to do that.
Well, Keontae Scott's fun too, isn't he?
Oh, Keontae Scott, like no nonsense player. They already have, but they have Josh Metellus in that kind of a role. So like, I don't know if they would totally do that here. It here. Maybe they do that.
AJ Halsey.
Ooh, Halsey.
Go and get more of maybe like a free-ish type, because you've got Metellus. We don't know anything as of this moment about Harrison Smith yet, but you've got Theo Jackson, you've got Josh Metellus, but could Halsey kind of fit in there and play more of the back end role for him?
That's not a bad shout. But Stukes to me is like a slot corner who can play safety. So he's kind of, he could be either one of those. But yeah, Harrison Smith's the guy that plays the most between free and strong. So like, a guy who's played a bit of both. Halsey could definitely make some sense. Or do they go to the outside corner? Because right now on the outside, it's James Pierre, Isaiah Rodgers, and then it's Byron Murphy, Josh Metellus, kind of nickels. Yeah, I think Halsey's a good shout, honestly. I think Halsey's a good shout.
Yeah. I think Abney could make some sense too for him. Stukes could make sense
on him, to be completely honest with you. Like, I could see where Stukes, that back pedal, he could totally fit, but kind of a late breakout. Let's go AJ Halsey. He's got a nose for the football, and anytime you can say that, it's kind of an easy thing to be like, yeah, Brian Flores will like that. So I'm gonna go AJ Halsey there.
All right. What did we do with the Lions in round 1? Oh,
I'm with 17.
All right, I'm pretty solidly beat this 2 guys. I usually narrow this down to 2, and then we can. So if we take McCoy at 17, I'm going to assume Terrion Arnold's in the nickel, so we're good in the secondary. That's where I would go with that.
Yeah.
The two guys for me, it's either Malachi Lawrence right there, because that's just the violence that he plays with just feels like Dan Campbell, or I get Iheanacho, because we haven't filled the tackle spot yet.
Oh, great shout. And Iheanacho is not going out of the top 50. He's a top 50 pick.
Roll it. Go with Max. We're going to get Lawrence. We're going to get Lawrence drafted. I think Dan Campbell would love Malachi Lawrence.
100%. 100%. But like, to that point, I think he would love Akis. I think he would love Joshua Josephs. I think he would love Derek Moore. I think he would love Denai Dennis Sutton. It's such a deep edge group that the positional scarcity of tackle more so than edge. Because to me, edge is the deepest group in the entire draft. Totally agree. Keon Crawford, Jayshawn Barham. Like, if worst comes to worst, they'll get another Wolverine in that room. Jayshawn Barham will be a Detroit Lion if they don't get something by 50. Yeah, so I think, honestly, good shout on the Mad Max thing. And then you just flip Pinay to the left side. I think he's totally comfortable doing that.
Yep.
All right, Carolina Panthers, we want Avion Terrell in the first round. I mean, Keldrick Falk being here is just one of those things where, like, shit, most of the time I do this in the first round, so, like, why not? But
I'll say this. I'm much more comfortable with it here. This would be a good pick. That would be, especially when you talk about, even if at worst, he is your Ashawn Robinson replacement.
Exactly. Yep.
And the run defense is awesome. No question about it. He's an excellent run defender, like 5 tech, 4-eye. He can play just off the edge in a 7 a little bit.
Right.
And if it's the case where Phillips is on this, he's out there, or you got to mix it up and you still have Princely and Skorton and figure out a pass rush, fine. If they did it at 19, I'd be scared. I would be scared for my life. Totally. Here with another good player already in tow, I don't have any issue with this.
Yeah, I'm looking real quick. I'm trying to find the run defense grades for Skorton, because he's also gone through like such a different journey with his body last year. So pretty good. Yeah. 63.9 as a rookie, not too bad. But it's tough because like I don't, 285 is what he's listed at in college, 256 at the combine. Like, where are you actually? Like, what are you? So I do think just a little bit of extra, one more body type for the early down stuff, Uman Yellen, DPR type. I think that works out well.
Yeah, the ability to reduce, because Princely and Skorton both need to play 7 and out, whereas Falk is most comfortable at the 5 And if you needed to put Falk and Phillips on the edge, even in early downs. Well, you talk about length. I mean, you've got it with those two guys right there.
And I wonder if they start using some stunts and twists as an easy way to like manufacture some pass rush production for Falk. So I do think of Jared Rose. He's tapped into that before. Packers at 52. Welcome Green Bay to the mock draft. 2 hours in.
Show me
the money. No.
Actually, I don't think I'm going there. I'm going.
Malachi Lawrence would be fun too.
I think it's Lawrence.
Yeah.
It's Lawrence or Akis. I do like Akis, but I have Lawrence a spot or two higher, and I do think he's probably going to go earlier than this. But if Green Bay got a shot at it, I think they got to take it. They just have right now. They have nothing to me outside of Parsons. Just not. They got to get a pass rush going.
I couldn't agree more.
Lawrence, I'm in on there. I'm good.
I couldn't agree more. So let me get to my Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me take a quick look at like what's available guard wise. I think we're a little early on all these guys. Like Jalen Farmer, I like as a third rounder. Kind of the same thing with Keelan. Tiernan, I could kick the tires on that. Dunker, kind of the same thing. Late third, early fourth for me. So I mean, dude, receiver, could the rich get richer? And I mean, Bell's fun because like he could be an interesting power slot for us. Like I'm just thinking about the Steelers construction with DK Pittman on the outside, or do you just play Skylar Bell on the slot?
I think if you're going receiver, Yak has to be a priority here.
I just realized what you said there. I said Bell and you said Chris or Skylar. That's actually hilarious. But yeah, these are the two guys I'm deciding between. So that's actually hilarious you said that. Skylar or Chris. Oh, I do feel like low-key fit-wise, Skylar's the guy. But do you take him over Chris Bell? That's the tough part. I don't know if the Jags are really trading up to the spot.
Anything else on defense you need?
I mean, dude, like this team could add corners for days. Like it's been such a problem, or specifically a nickel, like low key Keontae Scott.
Keontae.
Tell me he's not like Mike Hilton, old school, like quote unquote old school Steelers.
Because you're set with Dean and Porter. I have no issue out there, but Keontae Scott to add because there's other guys you can move in, or Stooks, like you mentioned, could be an up. Right, we didn't get Stooks off the board yet. Keontae Scott though. Keontae Scott kind of feels like a Steeler though. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, he does. Like, and he makes me think of Mike Hilton. Just like his fearlessness. And I mean, he's bigger than Hilton, but like Hilton would just like run into traffic if you asked him to. Like, man, it was crazy. And like even the guys that could play the nickel, maybe it's Asante Samuel Jr., maybe it's Brandon Eccles. Neither one of those guys, they like bring more of the coverage standpoint versus like I use this anecdote all the time, but like Miami would use overload front all the time with Ruben Bain Jr. and Keontae Scott as the guys on the like underbalanced side.
I remember during the playoffs, I did a Bain breakdown with that, and that was basically the idea. The whole idea of their run defense was you can run at Bain and Scott, or you can run at everybody else. and coaches are so about the numbers in the box that it's like shit. At the time I remember calling it the impossible choice because you just don't. There isn't a right answer. You run at two absolute monsters or the whole rest of the team. Good luck. No, Keontae Scott makes sense to me there. I'm in on that.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm going to change it. I think I might go Stooks. I look at our safety room, and could we be 3 years down the line and Stooks plays free safety for us? It's Jalen Ramsey, Deshaun Elliott, Jaquan Brisker, Darnell Savage. I kind of like Brisker more as a box safety. The tough part is I like Scott a little bit more than Stooks, so I'll actually ride with it.
I think Scott, if in that sense, if you're thinking about safety things with Stooks, I think Scott helps you more immediately. I think he starts right now for you.
Yeah, 100%. And again, just a different type of nickel than Eccles and Asante Samuel Jr. So I'll stick with Keontae there at 53. All right, Philadelphia here at 54. This is like to me easily the hardest pick. You cannot please this team, this fan base at 54. It's impossible.
Well, then they'll be mad regardless. It makes it easy.
Lean into it. Go crazy.
Just lean into it.
I'm drafting a quarterback here at 54. No, I'm playing.
They might trade Tanner McKee.
Go TJ Parker. This is the DDS spot. Like low-key, I could see them doing that.
I'm kind of leaning into something about I don't know what. Sometimes you just kind of get a gut feeling about just like, bang, just one name sticks out at you. I think Chris Johnson's that guy for me here.
Yeah, I like that. 100%.
I think it's Chris Johnson. Maybe attack safety in round 3 or 4. Maybe Stooks makes some sense here, although he'd have to be a true safety because you're not moving Cooper for any reason. I wouldn't. You only signed Tariq Woolen on a 1-year deal. Exactly. You get a similar, just Chris Johnson in zone coverage, especially like off 7-1 in like that for Fangio with a year of development too behind Woolen and Quignon.
Yep.
Yeah, give me Chris Johnson. I kind of like that fit there.
And Reek Woolen's almost like what I said earlier about Nashawn Wright, where like when it's a 1-year deal and given their playing style and the like boom bust turnover factor of it all, like, dude, he's either signing a mega deal next offseason and you're priced out, or he's gonna have a bad year and you don't want to bring him back anyway. So future proofing that spot when we don't normally have Chris Johnson available at 54, I think that's a short move.
This is an interesting pick because I assume you're going to look at O-line, and I
got to take a quick look here.
So the guy, so this is hard because
I like Billy Scrouse too, but again, around early. We're around early.
So I think Tiernan, I think even though he's a left tackle at Northwestern, I think it is the Skoronski route where he could be a zone guard.
Sure.
And then this is a spot. I'm having such a hard time with Jennings Dunker because this is the perfect place for him to go.
Low key.
Right? Because the system at Iowa, Tim Lester and his system at Iowa, it's Shanahan stretch, like McDaniel all day.
And he's the guy at the Senior Bowl who's rolling his shorts up to where you can basically see all of his, everything he's got to the table when it's 45 degrees outside. This guy's Jim Harbaugh, like through and through.
Yeah, and Dunker, he's so hard for me because especially I watched him probably more closely than maybe anybody at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of his flaws, they're there, but they're fixable. Like I think even like his stance isn't right. Like, and he's so on his heels, and like you almost have to just like get this guy out of his stance and get him to fire off properly. Because when he gets the engine running, he can move, and he's a mauler, and he's got every bit of mentality, like you just mentioned, like Jim Harbaugh would love.
And frankly, this team probably needs a couple guards. If we're honest,
for sure.
So like if you draft Jennings here, you could still take Keelan later. Whatever.
Open competition at these two guard spots.
100%.
Completely up. I'm not just trying to lock myself into Cole Strange and Trevor Penning. I'm not doing
that. Yeah, 100%. And then also like thinking about the year this team just had, you don't love playing Jennings at tackle, but like, good Lord, we were bringing Bobby Hart off the streets and then flipping him to the other side of the line. Like,
if there are two places I'm taking Jennings in this range, it's here or it's possibly San Fran there at 58.
Yeah.
I would. That's one I would really think about. His problems are coachable.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of doing it and waiting. Like year one, he's not going to be a superstar,
and that's where it's tough.
If you can get there, it can be like he was at Iowa, where it's like, man, okay, this guy's we're mauling people now.
100%. So you want to do Jennings here?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It's the right spot. The Chargers are the right spot for him.
And I do wonder, just the move inside a guard. Could that, kind of like what you're talking about, where you just need to change the dude's stance, could that be like what unlocks that? Jags at 56.
Wow. First pick here with the Jags.
I've been going Grayson Holton a lot here. But I also do know, like, we probably need to look at linebacker.
I got to wait. I think I got to wait on linebacker. D-line depth is a good call. I think for them, I think I might go Akis over a Holton.
Sure. Okay.
I think Akis, there's a little more 3-down playability there. If you wanted to go with a true edge, I'd probably go Derek Moore.
Yeah.
Because you can move Walker kind of inside and out too. You still have Trayvon Walker. So.
No, I agree. And then what did they do at corner? Did they make any moves at corner? That was the only other thing. I know Newsom's gone now.
They kept Montaric Brown.
Yeah, they needed to do that.
And then
Travis Hunter playing more corner.
There's a lot of thought about Travis Hunter. So I'm not going to worry about corner this early. Safety, you could argue. But is there any safeties on the board I might like here?
Oh, yeah. I love Zakee Wheatley, but this is probably a little early. Kamari Ramsey.
Yeah, it's early. I think safety's something to attack with Wingard gone.
Yeah.
Because Wingard was low-key like a good piece for them. Where am I at?
The one name that can get me and my fiance to look at the TV screen immediately. Every time you hear somebody saying Andrew Wingard, you're like, what? I'm like, huh? Somebody just say my last name?
Give me Derek Moore. I'm gonna trust my board here. I have Moore one spot on edges ahead of Akis, and I'm not quite as high on Halton as you are. I think he's more of a third-round guy. I dig it. Derek Moore, speed to power for days. Collapse Trayvon Walker inside. I like it. Frankly, Derek Moore, the Bears are probably like kicking themselves because they're like, oh yeah. The good news is there are options. I think you could take Akis. You could take Josh
Akis
Joseph.
Very much their type.
If you want to take the ceiling pick, because you got to develop him right, he's still super raw. Josh Josephs is a good ceiling pick. Max had him. Max loves him. Max had him like edge 5 or 6, but he's just so raw. He's just raw. He's so raw still.
Yeah. And they bring in Kobe Bryant, so I think we don't need Kamari Ramsey. I might at 60 go Zakee Wheatley. I know it's a little early for some people, but like that's the box strong safety that I think they could use as a compliment. I'm also, dude, like, I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but like just because you lose DJ Moore doesn't mean you don't have to have 3 awesome receivers. Khalif Raymond's a good, solid player, but I mean, what do you have to lose with Chris Bell or Antonio Williams here? Like, if you throw Antonio Williams or Skylar Bell into the slot for this team, like, keep a strength of strength, homie.
Any way you can go about it. I mean, the idea and the fun part is you could really take any style, because I think we're going to get this year in year 2. Luther Burden's going to be all over the place. That he's going to cover every 53 inches of width on the field. So if you went receiver, I wouldn't argue much with really any of them. If you went Chris Brazzell and you want the X to take the top off, well, Burden's going to catch 100 balls. I mean, if any of them. So D-line, I think, is the obvious one.
I'll start with Atkins. We'll cross that next bridge at 60.
Go there. Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Dude, Atkins plus Woods. Like, if you're Dennis Allen, like, you look like the poster to the movie Smile. Like, you're toast. You're done. Like, that's heaven.
All right, what did we do here for San Fran?
Sadiq. I've been going Kamari Ramsey here a lot. Try to get that, like, Jesse Bates type for Raheem Morris. But also Chris Bell's here, so like, that could be a sick fit.
Chris Bell?
Yeah, Chris Bell's still here.
Oh, see, I think it's redundant.
With Ricky?
I think I'd be more tempted with them. Kind of my KC argument earlier. I'd be more tempted to go Skylar Bell.
Interesting. I just do like Chris Bell on freaking shallow cross, get that man on a drag. Man, full head of steam. I hear where you're coming from, though. I hear you.
Skylar Bell. I still – oh, man. You know – I don't know if I'd take him this early, but I wonder. We haven't gotten. There's some people that think Jadarian Price is going a lot earlier than this.
Ooh, interesting.
And people, the one hidden stat, despite him being second in offense player, Christian McCaffrey was at like 3.8 yards per carry this last year. Fun theory I've had for a while. How much longer would you let McCaffrey play running back before maybe you just move him
to slot receiver? You give him the old Bryce Harper, you're going to play first base, buddy. The Joe Mauer.
I kind of would think about that. And the Niners have been going much later with draft picks on running back, like Jordan James and Isaac Guerrero and those guys. But like Jadarian Price in a one-cut system with his speed, there's no doubt home run speed. He's raw. He's another player who's raw. And I don't like the idea, like I've seen mocks with him late first round. I don't like the idea of him being your workhorse right away because we've literally never seen that. But on this team, one cutback, Shanahan sets things up right for him. Kick return value, no question. He's a kick returner right off rip. I wonder if that's a thought.
And dude, if there's a team that surprised you with a day 2 running back selection, if it ain't Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers, brother, I don't know who it is.
Because it could be, even then, like even here, it could be them, it could be Houston, it could be Washington.
Houston, I will say, like whether it's Mike Washington or Jadarian Price, just to let them work with Monty for a year or two, like I'm all on board for that. You look at that pick at 59, you kind of got
I'll tell you what, if the Niners wanted to wait another round, Mike Washington would be a perfect fit too.
100%.
Man.
No thoughts to safety here? You don't like the Kamari Ramsey?
I think I could wait.
Okay. Again, good safety class, so you always could. Where is Ramsey on here for this? Must have gone past him.
This is that range of the draft that I don't love.
Oh, dude, it's tough.
Wow.
Could go corner. I don't think they're like done there either.
It's funny that we still have Keith Abney on the board.
Inside out flexibility.
I'm going to go with my original theory. Give me Skylar Bell.
Skylar Bell. Let's do it.
I need some yak. Pearsall and Evans, don't give it to me. I still need that in this offense. And now we've really, because we went, was it Sadiq? What did we do the first pick there?
Dude, Sadiq and Skylar Bell, like all of a sudden.
Sadiq and Bell. Yes, Sadiq and Bell, all of a sudden your yak problem's fixed. It's a different approach because I think D-line is still a big-time need. They're going to have to attack that with pass rush. But, all right, let's do it that way. I'm in on it.
And also, like, sometimes you see some of these veteran signings, And like Christian Kirk has kind of become one of those. And then like I'm trying to think of Dalvin Tomlinson. Sometimes you see these free agency moves and you're like, they're kind of tipping their hands right there. They're looking to get better at that spot. Yeah. So like Christian Kirk is your slot receiver. I could see where they're like, yeah,
but they haven't done it to the extent where they wouldn't. Christian Kirk doesn't solve all your problems. Yeah,
exactly. And like Dalvin Tomlinson was a Cardinal last year. They drafted a D tackle at third. You know, like it's just one of those things where like sometimes you see a guy and you're like, yeah, that's just a Band-Aid. They're going to draft that position. So now, dude, the Texans, this is where I'm like, brother, like Jadarian Price, you can move on from Monty after the season and save like $7 million against the cap. So like contract wise, Monty plus Price plus Marks, I think that makes sense.
I think
so. I'm kind of or Mike Washington.
You could take Abney just to go into a different position just for the depth of it.
Just for a second Kamari Lassiter, just another one of those types. Yeah, like totally.
Yeah.
Or is this the team where like I don't love Anthony Hill's second round, but like God, if there was someone who could do it, I think D'Amico Ryans would be the guy who takes this slasher.
Coverage-oriented linebacker like those first two guys make a lot of sense for Houston.
But then I also feel like Hill has the violence to like use him as a blitzer. Like he could be really interesting there. I'm going to go Anthony Hill Jr. just because I think at this point we haven't had RB2 come off the board. So if you're Houston, I think you could look at this and game this out to like, hey, we're going to get to the third round and one of Price, Jonah Coleman, Mike Watt. You know, we're going to have someone there that we're comfortable taking. So I'll go with Anthony Hill Jr. there. And frankly, that probably would have been a good pick there for the Bears. I kind of sniped.
So we already have now Akis and
Woods. So we double dipped on the D line.
I'm assuming they're just content at linebacker with Bush. Great signing.
And if they didn't sign Bush, like you could maybe sell me on Lewis here in the second round, but like Bush plus Lewis, I don't see that going well. So yeah, like Loki, you're looking at safety, or like, do you just go get a third receiver just for the shits? You know, like why not?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about
like Wheatley would be awesome. Like Wheatley would be
I'm trying to think about what does Ben Johnson want at receiver, or do you just take the talent swing at Chris Bell and let it ride?
Could you also just draft Connor Lew and just say, hey, we got Garrett Bradbury for a year. We're just gonna let Lew rehab, keep getting healthy.
I don't hate that. I also think what are the rest of the Bears picks? Just curious. Not that we're doing a third round, but what's their third round pick if they have one?
Let me double check here. I'm pulling up Draft Tech real quick. So yeah, they got 57. They have pick 89 in the third round, 129 in the fourth, nothing in the fifth, nothing in the sixth, 2 sevenths.
89, I think, is still a good spot to attack center, even if it's not Lou. I like Jake Slaughter for their system. I wouldn't hate Logan Jones or Matt Golban. I think they could get one with one of those two picks. I'm gonna I'm gonna go BPA here and go Chris Bell. I'll do it here. I think this is probably about the range I'm more comfortable taking him. I think it's riskier in the top 40. But I think with the Bears, with these back-to-back picks, we've addressed the D-line. Safety and center in some combination probably would be the next two picks if we were extending that for, 6 hours. I think Chris, you're right. To get a third threat, they lost Zacchaeus. They're kind of just looking at Odunze and Burden, and you can't be in 12 personnel the whole game. Ben Johnson probably would.
I mean, you could, but
yeah, you could theoretically, but I'm in on that. Let's kind of replace. We'll use that same pick to kind of replace DJ Moore in there and see what we get out of it.
And like low key, JMO coming off the ACL injury at Bama, like the workload, it took a little bit for it to build up with Ben Johnson. I could see where it's just like shallow cross, like that's all we're gonna do, just run drag routes, brother, for year one. And
that's a good call stylistically with that. Yeah.
So then, this is a home run. This is the spot you want to be in if you're Washington. I would go Chris Brazzell, but we've already gone receiver. So, like, I think we're good there. But I still think, like, the way this is played out, even at 71, I think that's their next pick. Like, if you want Malachi Fields there just to get Fields as an X, T-Mac becomes your Z, and then Mackay's your slot. Sign me up for that.
I thought you might have been thinking about Jadarian there.
Maybe. I'm also a Bill Krosky-Merritt dynasty owner, so call me biased here, but I'm going to go Keith Abney. To be completely honest, I think that's like the type that they need just to get, let's move Sam still inside the slot. I thought Trey Amos was solid as a second-round pick. Now we're doing it again here at 61, so how many times can you hit on the second-round corner well? But I think Abney plus Amos on the outside, Sam still in the slot, we can work with that. Plus, everything they did in free agency, Amenihu, Owe, like all of a sudden you look at that defense and it's like, all right, it's a lot. Leo Chenal, like it starts looking okay.
Another spot where in a trade down scenario like this, because this is not they don't have a second round pick originally, but if we were to do this and they get a second rounder out of some trade, Chris Johnson would be a hell of a fit with Dan Quinn.
Oh,
I would love Chris Johnson with Dan Quinn.
And that's where, like, specifically the Steelers, like if you go from 7 to 20 and you get pick 53 from Pittsburgh, and then Pittsburgh just doesn't draft the second round, they get 3 swings to the bat in the third. At 53, you jump all over Chris Johnson as soon as you can.
Yeah,
100%.
I think
and in this mock, he would have been available. Pretty sure he went 54. Yeah, he went 54. Yeah, so I like that.
62. We've yet to make a pick. Their first
pick for the Broncos, fresh off the Jalen Waddle trade.
Okay.
And a move that I like for both sides, just real quick, I haven't really talked about it much here on the channel, but I think it makes sense for both teams. Like for the Broncos, I've been like kind of praying that Omar Cooper Jr. gets there to 30, but why draft Cooper at 30 when you know what Waddle is in his mid-20s, you know? So, like, you know, I get it.
No, it's a really good move for both sides. I mean, essentially, you give up a first and a third for Waddle. You get a great player who changes the dynamic there.
The only real loser is Malik Willis. We joked about it earlier, but he's the loser of the trade.
Yeah. I think for me here, this is probably more D-line depth. We could look in the secondary, too. They probably like Stukes. One of the things, the problems I'm having with projecting their secondary is what in the hell are they doing with Janae Barron?
Janae Barron, yeah, I know.
McMillan's still Jr. Moss is still there. See, I think the problem I think the problem now with taking running back is that contract they gave Dobbins.
Oh, true. I forgot they did do that.
I mean, they gave him 2 years, 20. If Dobbins wasn't on the roster,
good shout.
Probably Price is going to go before Washington. I would take Price here. I mean, their run game to me was the reason they didn't make the Super Bowl.
You still could go tight end. I mean, no Stowers here. It's probably a little early. Claire, Roush, Trigg is kind of like if you wanted to replace Evan Ingram, like Michael Trigg's probably the guy to do that. You're basically not getting any blocking out of Ingram anyways. So
this is the right move. I don't know why they gave Troutman the contract they did. That's just Sean Payton loves that guy. Yeah, you know what? You said the right thing. Give me Max Clare. I actually think, you know what's funny with Clare is his stock has kind of dropped because of a lack of production at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And it was just a much dirtier role than he played at Purdue. They didn't let him flex out as much. They were in a lot of 12, and Kaczmarek will probably get drafted in the 6th or 7th round too as a blocker. But Clare, it sounds funny. I think for his development, going to Ohio State and playing that muddier role that he had to, I think it's going to make him a better football player in the long run. I have him tight end 2 for right now because he's further along than Stowers. And I love Stowers. Don't get me wrong, one of those fun players to watch in this draft. But Max Clare, I think, got better as a blocker this year, and the athleticism is still there. I actually believe for Ohio State, I'm going on a rant here, I think their lack of usage of Clare cost them a national title. That's how good he should have been in that offense.
I can see that. And no, I agree with you 100%. He's my tight end 2 as well. And then I have Roush at 3. So some of it's also what I'm prioritizing, right? Like 2 guys at 2 and 3 that like are going to be inline blockers and I could keep on the field for 3 downs. So like there's different things that people are prioritizing. But like if he stayed at Purdue, I think we're having more of an Eli Stowers type of conversation about Clare than we are now. I think it's like less production, less sexy. But I think from an NFL team standpoint, you're more sure in a weird way of drafting him in the second round because you've now seen him play that complementary role that 90% of tight ends in the NFL play, other than the Travis Kelce's, the Brock Bowers, the George Kittles, the Trey McBrides of the world. So I'm with you 100%. That being said, New England, dude, man, this is really, with where you look at that roster being at right now, like this is kind of house money. We kind of hit the one spot, tackle, future-proofing that spot. They got Dobbs. We could go corner. I guess corner is kind of the one thing I would go with here just to kind of get some insurance behind the likes of, Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez. So I like Devin Moore. Trading Stukes could be interesting too, especially considering the safety loss. I know they bring in Kevin Byard, but that's a 1-year thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could go with
the slot though. So
you could go with a true safety also, or if you're just looking for honestly basically the same exact mold to me as Carlton Davis and Igbinosun is right there.
Igbinosun's definitely of that breed.
You just got to blindfold the refs when he's out there. But
yeah. I'm going to go Devin Moore with that. I think Moore. Right. I think he excels a little bit better in zone coverage, but he's got the willingness to play press man. I think he's a little stiff when he's transitioning, trying to run and stay in phase. That like first 5 yards from line of scrimmage to turning and running can be a little stiff. But then he's got the speed to keep up. So I like him a little bit more in zone coverage, but body type, I think there's a man coverage skill set that can be developed there. So I'll go Devin Moore. And the beauty of this spot is we don't need him to play really right away, barring injury. So I'll go Devin Moore there, 63. Him or Julian Leon.
What did I do with Seattle the first time?
We did Zion Young as that DeMarcus Lawrence a year out. Jadarian Price was kind of staring me in the face here.
I'm with you. There's an argument that I could certainly go in the secondary, like a Traden Stukes or a Davison Igbinosun here.
Stukes would be a sick Kobe Bryant replacement. That would be.
I think running back. Or what's that guard? What's sitting at guard for me? Maybe at right guard.
Right now, Zabel. Available to you. I think this could be the beginning of the Keelan Rutledge zone. Like I could see him fitting here. But yeah, it's Anthony Bradford at right guard. So I do agree. Like Keelan Rutledge is interesting there. And then Farmer, third round guy, Scrowth, third round guy.
Yeah, Rutledge, maybe I'll worry about that later and just let him have Bradford for another year. Yeah, give me Jadarian Price. I just think this team, they signed Emmanuel Wilson. Charbonnet's coming off an ACL. And the big problem that you're losing with Kenan Walker gone is explosiveness. There's no speed in that room. Emmanuel Wilson, nice, tough runner. I think he's a rotational type guy. I think it was a good deal that they got for him. But you need speed. And I think even if Price isn't ready to take on the ever down role now with Wilson, and they were rotating guys in and out with Walker and Charbonnet and all that anyway, so they're not really used to, unless they have to, given that workhorse role. They need speed in the backfield for as much as they want to run the football. And it's a good system with Brian Fleury coming in to run a similar system. That's not a bad fit for Price. If they got him at the end of the second round, I wouldn't have any issue with that.
Yeah, I think it basically lets you start the season with Price and Wilson, and you're like, okay, I'm fine with that. And then by the time you're making a playoff push, all of a sudden we got Zach Charbonnet back, and now you're looking at that trio, and you're like, big thumbs up. We love where we are.
Yeah, brings a different dimension. Price or Washington would both fit there in Seattle in that scheme.
And you already got Shaheed, but special teams value. Always want to make sure we know the special teams value. So really interesting. Like if with the new look kickoff return, could you start setting up and designing some trick plays within that with Shaheed and Price? That would be the bag I would want to start having teams and coaches dive into. That would be a lot of fun. But that does it. 64 picks. Scrolling through all 64 right now. Dalton, we managed to do this in less than 2 hours and 40 minutes. So let's see how long I can keep you on here before we get out of this outro. But man, real quick before we get out of here, any picks out of here? Anyone that stands out to you is I love that fit. Anyone that stands out the most to you?
Just combing through right now. Malachi Lawrence to the Packers is big time. Jacob Rodriguez to the Bucs is a good one. I really like what we did with both of those Texans picks with Pregnon and Hunter. I'm just taking through Mesidor to the Chargers. I've been doing a lot.
Yeah.
You know me, Dylan. You get me Dylan Thieneman to the Jets. I'm in. Who did we take at 33 to the Jets?
Top of the second round.
The Jets haul is not Colton Hood. Okay. Yeah, you get me Thieneman or Downs to the Jets, I'd be living. I don't think Downs has fallen that far. But, yeah, no, I think this shows you. To me, the top 10 to 12 probably are pretty consistently in some order, this is the set. And then I think after about 12 right there is where you get into just chaos. I think it's just a whole – they could go in any order. I've been doing Ioane to Baltimore a lot. Freeling, the talk is all over the place, as high as 6 and all over and whatever. I mean, I think you've certainly got – to me, after probably pick 12 is where and maybe even at 10 is where the chaos starts. And then there's always some team that's like, oh, they reached. Okay, they went ahead and did it. We mentioned it before. Would it shock me if Caleb Banks went 10th to the Bengals? Look, not really. Nothing at this point. We've seen so many different things on draft night that nothing shocks me at this point, right? So it just shows you, I think, the depth of this draft class. You have a lot of very equal talent that's very bunched together. And aside from probably the first 10 picks, they could go in any order for me. Yeah, 25 to 75 in this class looks pretty similar. So, honestly, a good year to go ahead and just be what do we need? Need-based drafting is probably going to be a little bit more common this year. No doubt about it. Well, Dalton, dude, I want to thank you for giving us 2.5 hours on your Monday here to kick us off this week on 32 Beat Writers. Obviously, like I said, off the top, you're one of the busiest people I know in the industry, co-host of the College Show for PFF, co-host of the PFF NFL podcast. Where else can the good people find your work? Absolutely. PFF.com for all the great written work. You get a PFF Plus subscription. You can use the mock draft simulator, all 7 rounds if you want to, and see the grades for every NFL and college player and just figure out what your team needs. And then, like you mentioned, PFF NFL show on YouTube, PFF college football show on YouTube. They're both kind of draft oriented right now, but that's how it's going to be for another month. And then especially on the college side, as we get into the season and the next wave of prospects that everybody's going to be looking at for next year's class, it'll be a lot of fun, as well as breaking down the games too. So YouTube with both of those channels, and PFF.com as always.
Awesome. Well, before my dog goes crazy now that we finish up recording, but Dalton, appreciate you coming on, joining us show, and we'll have to get you on for a 7-round mock draft right before the actual NFL draft, so that way we can do a 24-hour stream to really maximize all of our time. So
let's let it rip. Just take after our guys Trevor and Connor, man. I know they do it once a year as well.
Because I know you have a ton of extra just free days you're looking to just spend on a all-day live stream. I know that's what you're doing here, but think of the conversations we can have.
It's what we do, it's all good.
We do it in our free time, so why not do it on camera as well? But Dalton, thank you again for joining us, my man. A lot more mock drafts coming here on 32 Beat Writers. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. But until next time, we are signing off.